Good evening. This is a work session for the Molalla City Council for Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. We'll begin with roll call. Begin with Councilor Bartholomew.
Councilor Bartholomew, present.
Council President Vermillion, present.
Mayor Kaiser, present.
Councilor Childers, present.
Councilor Schenkel, present.
Dan Huff, City Manager, present.
City Recorder Christy Teets, present. Councilor Casey Vicinius is attending via Zoom.
Associate Planner Clarissa Davis, present.
Assistant City Manager Matt Corthell, present.
Please note that if council wishes to discuss a major policy issue that is not on the agenda, it should be raised during new business for consideration at a future work session or meeting, not during the current meeting. Decisions cannot be voted on during work sessions. Tonight, first we'll be discussing Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 6.08, Farm Animals, Proposed Code Amendment. Mr. Corthell, can we have your staff report?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. Staff is provided the current code language for keeping of farm animals in the city limits. The way that this kind of came up was via it's a situation that the police department has been talking about for some time. And when we got our new code compliance officer with her experience in code compliance in multiple cities, she kind of thought that there were some issues here, so I had her do some research. And what we came back with is that we're finding specifically for the keeping of fowl, like chickens and that sort of thing, is what we're seeing in most areas is there's a set number, whatever that may be. But there's a set number, and as opposed to some of our other provisions here, I think were probably initially intended to deal with some of this, like accumulation of manure and other waste and that sort of thing, so that if someone was, keeping them poorly, which I think was one of the planning commissioner's questions, that there was maybe some recourse there. We've found that that's a very, very hard, difficult standard to meet as far as how much manure is too much, how do we even see it? Because if it's in someone's backyard, we can't just go in their backyard, that sort of thing. So we're recommending that the council consider setting a limit on the keeping of fowl to a specific number to maintain the residential character of the neighborhoods and that sort of thing, so we don't end up with a quasi-chicken farm in a neighborhood. In our research, we found that that number was somewhere between 3 and 6, depending on what city you looked at. There's various, it was kind of spread out all over the map, but somewhere between 3 and 6 was generally what we were seeing. So that's kind of the first question for you guys on this one, and a first discussion item. The second one, roosters. And this is the one that the police have been bringing up for some time as an issue, a noise issue, an ongoing issue. That roosters are generally prohibited in every city, but we don't have that yet. And so I'm guessing that since when I looked through this code, most of these ordinances, these regulations were passed in 1980 and maybe updated in 2001. I think they're just a little bit old, and so we're trying to update them. The third thing that I didn't put in here, I put the violation and penalty up top. That says that, basically people could go to jail for this. I can't give legal advice from my chair. I don't know if that's legal. It seems like it seems a little heavy-handed. And so we would recommend in that you just go with, there's our general fee, our general penalty of $1,000 a day, but many of our code ordinances have it at $500 a day. So if it doesn't have that 500, then it would automatically go to the 1,000. We'd recommend marrying that up with the $500 fee per maximum fee. The judge, of course, could alter that however they determine, but ultimately that fee would be a $500, and we remove the language about the imprisonment. So those are our 3 discussion topics. Do we want to start? Maybe I'll get us started with the number of chickens and see what you guys are doing, or fowl, and see what you guys are thinking.
I'm 6 max.
You're at 6, man.
I'm 6 max. Yeah, I like that number.
That was one of the planning commissioners too, said the same thing. I think pretty much the same way. He said, no, I think 6 is the number. Anyways, so just so you know, that was
And
one.
definitely no roosters.
Go.
I think 6 is pretty good. I know there's a lot of people in this town that own chickens. I work with a lot of them, and I think 6 is fair. I think most people have around 6. And as for roosters, I hear a rooster on my days off every morning. I don't mind it though, it's far enough away from me, but yeah, I think 6 is a fair, reasonable.
I keep chickens too. We have 5 of them. And the eggs are wonderful.
Well, it sounds like you need one more.
I think we're maxed out at 5.
Question, how do we get to that number? If someone, say, has more than 6, if that's the number that's decided upon, I don't think it's right that we come in and say, sorry, one of your chickens has to go, or however many of your chickens has to go, because, when they first started, they were following the rules. There wasn't anything established, so how, do you have an idea on how we can get to that number without infringing, if that's the right term?
Since there's not like a chicken permit or anything, so we won't know who's had chickens and how many prior to this. My recommendation would be that we use public education like we often do. Kind of administrative function, but generally speaking, when you guys come up with a new code provision, our direction from the council has been, to generally work with people and as a last resort, use, the legal system if needed, right? And that's what we've done and we continue to do. For example, you guys will notice some of the parking stuff that we changed recently. We've been running that in the newsletter for a couple of months, and we've actually had our code compliance officer, instead of ticketing people, putting an informational notice on their vehicle and a warning. So letting them know, hey, things have, so public information, I think, would be my recommendation, is that we just get the word out and say, hey, 6 chickens is the maximum, and you would give people a few months to gain compliance. I wouldn't anticipate that we would go out and just start trying to scope out chickens to write people tickets, because that's just not what we do and not what you guys have directed.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
There are some areas that obviously have more than 6 chickens that even I know of. And I would think that, that once this is set, say at 6, if a neighbor is bothered by the constant noise of too many chickens and makes a complaint, then that's going to start the ball rolling on bringing the folks into compliance. And personally, I feel at that time then that we do have the right, and I understand what you mean about infringement, but if there's been a complaint, which is what would prompt us to take action, then bringing them into compliance is reasonable, in my opinion.
My biggest fear is if somebody just moved in and next door, and we know how a lot of people in the community complain. It's
Sure.
just super negative, it's kind of like the guy who moves in next to the racetrack in Portland, and they complain about the racetrack, so it gets shut down.
Right.
It's been there for how many, or even the airport, people move in
Right.
by the airport and they're trying to get noise restrictions put on them, so that's what I'm trying to kind of try to stay out of, but I understand, it's a double-edged sword on it. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add one more thing to the chicken issue. I think, well, definitely jail time is, for me, it's out of the question. That's like people getting arrested for working on their cars. I think we all heard about that one. But I think like $500 is pretty steep, personally. I mean, Molalla is a working class town, and I think like it should be lower.
So I'd need a number from you guys, but what I can provide you is information, and I can tell you that we pay a person to go out and work with those people, and this community pays for them to go out and work with folks. And only after working with them, until it's become impossible to advance any further because they're just not going to comply, do they ever get a citation. And I can promise you the taxpayers have spent substantially more than $500 on the staff time to do that work. That's the only factual information I'll provide you, but whatever number you guys want is the number we will put in here.
Yes, sir.
I think by the time we get to a fine of $500, that's kind of like we're at the end of the game. And we have spent many hours with that individual or those individuals trying to get them to come into compliance, whether it be whatever kind of nuisance we're dealing with. And so at that point, I mean, if we were just walking up and saying, hey, Martin, you have too many chickens,
Yeah.
here's a $500
Yeah, see,
fine.
I
No, I
didn't-
agree with you there, but that's not what happened.
Okay, I was not aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're getting like, you know, chances and chances, then I
Yeah.
see it. If you just walk up and, okay.
Yeah, many times what happens if they end up going to the municipal court with their citation, the judge then can reduce that or not.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing about financial, fines, they're supposed to be intimidating. They're supposed to leave a
Right.
message for
Otherwise-
people to not do this. I mean, if you're speeding because we're a working class, doesn't mean the fine should be lower,
Yeah.
They need to tickle my wallet and let me know that, hey, I shouldn't have been speeding, and if I can't afford it, then maybe I should have been complying. That's
Right.
kind of my thought on it.
Okay.
Sir?
Just to add, yeah, 6 chickens, I think it's plenty, and roosters, take them out. Leota's question pretty much answered another piece that I was thinking, but since this is complaint driven, I assume, is there any other cities that have actual permits that do this? I mean, that would be a lot of work, wouldn't it?
Yes, there are a couple of cities that do permits. I don't know how accurate that actually is. I'm very doubtful that everyone's getting a permit for their, because if you have 2 or 3 chickens in your backyard and you have a decent sized backyard, no one's ever even gonna know about it anyway. So there's a couple that do, but I don't think it's really, because then and on top of that, then you're looking at, another permit fee. You're looking at, you're making it more onerous too. So whenever I've seen that, I've kind of giggled, honestly, about the permit thing, but, yeah, it's out there a couple of places.
Crazy. And then the fine, yeah, I'm in agreement with that, because I know your guys' practice is to work with the community, educate them, and in so many words, give them a few chances and see if they can rectify the issue. So, yeah, I'm in support of the 6 chickens, no rooster, and $500 fine. Remove the jail time, sure.
Yeah.
It does indeed, the fine does actually, it provides a great incentive, because it's one of the things that we educate people on when we're starting the education process is, hey, here's this, here's why, and oh, by the way, if we can't work with you to get in compliance, there are fines at the end of this road, and, they're not cheap overall.
Take a comment from the audience.
Sure.
Check this one out.
My name is Dan Zinder. I think my work address is more applicable. I work at 315 Kennel Ave in Molalla. I just want to come out and comment because I did work code enforcement for a couple of years and just give it an idea of what the majority of the complaints that we'd come in look like for farm animals. And basically it was all complaint driven. It was basically from other stuff, like it smelled bad. A lot of at-large situations. So I had one that was actually a pot-bellied pig, and there was a real sort of gray area about whether the pig was actually allowed in the city versus by city code and how it was. But basically, the pig was getting out into someone else's yard, and basically I went out, talked to the landowner, and he patched up his fence, and I assume he kept that pig. And we never heard from the complainant again. So the issue is almost always, how they're being kept, and people aren't really being that nosy into how many people have or something. That's causing too much noise. It's getting in my yard. Smells bad. Things of that nature are going to get us out. So I just wanted to provide that insight from having been in the field and done that. I'll retreat to my audience post.
Yes, sir.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate everybody's input in this short discussion we had on this, because me from the desert, I've never really dealt with chickens and I've never been fined for it. So now I fully understand before we eventually have to vote on this or make a decision on this. So I just wanted to add that.
Anything else, sir?
Just if there's anyone with a conflicting opinion to the council president, just so we can hear it and make sure we're bringing you guys back something that you want to adopt, and I'm not seeing any, so.
I haven't spoken, but I agree with the majority of the council on the 6 and the 500.
Thank you very much.
Before we move on to the next one, can I ask Ms. Christie to come and give me some technical assistance, please?
Absolutely.
I don't want to disrupt.
No, you're good.
But when I try to look at my supporting documentation, it just goes to that.
We're having problems with Granicus, so this is good for all of you. Please just scroll through your packets tonight. The links are going to continue to break.
Oh, you went back to the front
I
page
did,
of
so
the
here,
packet.
and if you'll just
And now I
scroll down, you'll be able to
Okay,
get all
okay.
of the
All right,
content.
thank you. Thanks.
No problem. You need any more info on this map?
No, sir, thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything to add? All right. Up next, Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 17-2.2, Zoning District Regulations, Proposed Farm Stands, Cottage Kitchens, and Domestic Kitchen Code Language. Ms. Davis, can we have your staff report, please?
Sir, if you don't mind, I would like to introduce it really quick.
Sure.
I'm going to get to Ms. Davis's staff report and pass this off to her for a presentation, but I just want to kind of bring us back a couple of years. We started talking about this, and we actually went over it fairly ad nauseum, and then we were very short-staffed and had the wash that we had to make sure we were taking care of, and now you guys have provided us with a new associate planner, and so we're able to start making some headway on some of the stuff that you guys wanted to do. And this is one of those things. So we did our best going off of our notes from what we had learned in the original discussions that we had, but we thought it was very important to bring it back to you guys and go over this stuff a little bit so that we can make sure that we were still where we wanted to be on this. So this is an effort to make it so that farm stands can in fact exist in Molalla legally. I mean, there's a few out there right now because we've been on a non-enforcement footing on these unless there was some drastic safety issue that was going on. That's what this is. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Clarissa, and she's done some really good work on putting some stuff together.
Thank you. And Christy, I'd love my first slide, please. Good evening, Mayor and councilors. As Mac introduced, today we're bringing this back. I'll actually jump to the next slide if you don't mind. So as I was digging through these notes here, I found a ton of notes from April in 2025 when council directed staff to go and research farm stands and how these could be applied here. And over the past year, we've researched how farm stands are regulated in other jurisdictions. And most commonly, no worries, farm stands are addressed in county code because they are often associated.
Your mic on?
Yeah, I'm a quiet person, but thank you, Mayor
welcome.
Kaiser.
there we go.
I'll scoot that up. Is that
That's a lot better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. Most commonly, farm stands are addressed in county codes because they are associated with agricultural land. There's actually only one city in the entire state of Oregon that I could find that addressed farm stands within their municipal regulations and within their city code, and that was the City of Sisters. And I was lucky enough to work with their associate planner in my previous jurisdiction, so I reached out to them and was able to chat with them on how that looks for them and how they implement that. And how their program is working, as well as get a copy of their code from them that I was then able to use to kind of have a jumping off point and researching point. Additionally, farm stands are regulated at the county basis quite often, so I was also able to speak with planners who worked in county jurisdictions and how they manage their farm stand codes. So with both of these things, we were able to start this process a little bit more in drafting our own farm stand regulations and what that would look like. Next slide, please. During this research, we found that farm stands often sell more than just fresh produce, and they often, many of them sell things like breads or jams or other small homemade food products that are prepared through something that's called like a cottage kitchen or a domestic kitchen. And these are regulated through the state and permitted through the state. They are legal terms of things that people can have in their home and ways that they can produce goods in their home, which we technically allow through our home occupation standards. We don't disallow them, and they would fall within all of our home occupation standards. However, by writing cottage kitchens and domestic kitchens into our standards and by calling them out specifically, it enables staff to enforce on those state regulations much easier. And it also allows us to communicate with our residents what these standards are and what they need to meet. And so that is something, as we were going through this process, that we said, you know, we want to wrap this in here so we can make sure that we are upholding standards that will be good for the community. Cottage kitchens generally operate through self-certification, and domestic kitchens are often licensed and inspected by the state. And in our regulations, we would state that they must comply with all applicable state requirements governing food safety, sanitation, labeling, types of products, and anything else that is regulated through the state. So that gives us the power, if we ever are concerned about something, to go back and say, hey, look, we gotta make sure these things are being followed, and this is our own rules. So it's much easier on the staff level to find that and to enforce that. Next slide, please. So we determined as we were going through this code that the most logical way to permit these uses, you know, the farm stands, the cottage kitchens, and the domestic kitchens, was through our home occupation permit. And we have this existing home occupation process that allows people to have these small-scale businesses within their homes. And, you know, it was great. We already had this process in place, and we were looking to expand the things that we're able to permit through that to enable people to do what you see that the community wants to do. We have many farm stands in the city of Molalla that, you know, we've been directed by council not to pursue, and we want to make it so that these people are able to do what they want to do in a way that is beneficial to the community, but also keeps neighborhood character. And that was kind of our other main thing as we were looking through these items and looking through regulations, is how can we make sure that, you know, we suddenly don't have a supermarket in Big Meadow, and we don't have tons and tons of people showing up at, you know, a mobile food unit that's in someone's driveway. So we wanted to be very specific about how we were allowing these things to go forward to make sure that we kept that neighborhood character in these residential areas. And so the proposed code that we came up with establishes these design and operating standards that really places that at the forefront. You know, we want to enable people to have these small businesses and these small micro enterprises while still making sure that your neighbors on either side of you across the street are not disrupted in a way that would not be beneficial in a neighborhood residential community. Can I get the next slide, please? So all of you had these proposed farm stand regulations throughout this, and it was provided to you beforehand. However, one thing that on the staff level we were very curious about is this idea of like a 50-mile limit. In the back, we were considering, you know, do we want to have a limit on where people can sell produce from? Do we want to make it, you know, farm stands, they're often associated with agricultural uses. It's often on an agricultural land. It is the farm's produce that they are selling. But that doesn't necessarily always work in the city context, especially when people are wanting to do those cottage kitchen, domestic kitchen type things. You know, you might want to make bread, or you might want to make jam. Do we want to enable people to have these micro businesses and are pulling from the community? You know, we've got a ton of farms outside of Molalla, I drive by a berry farm every day. I'm going to make jam one of these days, guys. It's going to be great. But do we want people to be able to, you know, support this community and pull from these local areas and make these types of home products that they could then sell in these farm stands? And so on our level, we were trying to put a number to that, a label to that. That's all. We find these rules and laws every day because that's what we will and deal in. But is there a number that makes sense to you as council of how far you'd want people to be able to source things from for these local farm stands? Additionally, if you have any other feedback from me, I want to make this a good ordinance that you would be excited to pass, excited to support. So I'm looking for any of that as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions at this point in time. Thank you.
So, your idea there about the 50-mile,
Sure.
the perimeter, 50-mile perimeter, you're saying if I want to sell produce, that I need to source it within 50 miles. What if I'm selling a baked good? Are you saying that I have to buy all of my products from within 50 miles?
Do you want, you've got your,
Yeah,
you're looking like you're
I
ready to
think
go.
I might have my head wrapped around this one pretty well. So the baked goods in the farm, right now, the way this is written, the farm stand could sell, so this is actually a little bit broader than what the state allows for farm stands, but they could sell any product that was made in a licensed cottage kitchen or domestic kitchen on the same site. So if you wanted to have your licensed kitchen or domestic kitchen and your farm stand to front it, you can sell your goods there. You can also sell your baked goods from a properly licensed domestic or cottage kitchen out of your home. You don't have to have a farm stand, and that, yeah, so those can be sold out of the home directly.
Okay, and along that same line, because I made these notes here, currently, in licensed kitchens, a cottage kitchen can sell their product at events. They can take them anywhere and sell them. A licensed domestic kitchen is also able to prepare those products in their kitchen, label them properly, and sell them for resale. For example, supplying to a local coffee shop, and then they resell them. So I think in the, I'm wondering if in some of the proposed language, we're limiting them by saying, did we say in there that it can only be sold from their home?
No.
No.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're absolutely correct. You can sell things from cottage and domestic kitchens in a variety of places and ways. You do need to be in conformance with the zoning laws. So this would expand that option for these people who are doing these micro businesses to also, in addition, be able to sell from the farm stand. But you're still able to sell in all of those other ways. And they do have specific requirements like labeling and stating this is from a homemade facility, and there's several others that they need to meet,
Right.
but we would not be reducing those rights in any capacity.
Okay.
And I will add to that, though, I want to make sure we're clear on this point, because I think it's important and goes to what you're asking, is that we are limiting what the farm stands that are in the residential area can sell and saying, hey, you can only sell baked goods from your own domestic or cottage kitchen. You can't have everyone else's being sold out of this little farm stand. So that is a limitation on that, the farm stand, not the cottage kitchen. The cottage kitchen can still go everywhere else. Just if they want to sell it at a farm stand in a residential zone in Molalla, they would need to do it at their own farm stand. That's how it's written right now.
Well, I'm glad you brought up that point, because at least one farm stand was started in this city based on kind of a co-op business.
Exactly.
Right.
Several people were contributing to that farm stand. And so under the new proposed line, that would be ruled out.
That would, yeah. And
And-
it's currently illegal, and that would be ruled out, but that's also why we're here, is to get the feedback.
Right, yeah, so I'm kind of like, well, why would we limit them to that? I think is what I would ask my fellow counselors.
I'd like to go further than that. Why would, as a city governing these laws and rules, why would we want that rule? Is there something that makes it easier? Why would we look at limiting on that co-op situation?
I honestly hadn't heard of these co-op situations before. That's an interesting point you made. Immediately that comes to mind is that the scale could sometimes get harder to manage and to navigate there. And so I think that could be something that people would be kind of concerned about. You know, you also have people bringing goods into a different place. But if that's something that you're interested in allowing, is this more co-op farm stand situation, that is something that we could look at as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can definitely work that in
So,
there.
so if we allowed the co-op, each kitchen though still needs to have their licensing,
Right.
whatever it is, from the county, is bringing things to that farm stand.
Right,
Not just the person who has the farm stand in their yard.
exactly.
Okay.
And the cottage kitchen doesn't take, they don't even get
County.
inspected by the county or state. So it's an easy thing to get.
Okay.
But I'm wondering too, how that's gonna play with who has a business license for that. Because this flows into business licensing. And who owns the business license for that? If I'm only selling my product, I own the business license. If 7 of us are selling our product, whose business is it?
Who's receiving the money?
As it sits today, each kitchen would have to have their own license, and they'd be able to sell everywhere and to the co-op, right? And the co-op farm stand would also have to have their own. It's kind of like if you own a mini mart, and there's a distribution center in town, the distribution center has to have their business license, as does the mini mart. So that's the way it sits right now.
Yeah, we keep it, what is regulated is that everyone who has this home occupation permit needs to go through that home occupation permitting process and needs to maintain that business license. And that is so that us on the staff level can make sure you're not totally changing the occupancy of your residence. You're not suddenly running a giant operation from your residence. You're meeting all of these things that make it so that you're able to fit into that residential character.
So are you saying there's a home occupation permit separate from a business license? Did I hear you say that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I saw your post.
Oh, no, it gets better.
So just so you know, that's how it's been here for decades.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that.
It's
So
not something
everybody
new.
who's had a small business or a little DBA or whatever, they do crafts and they sell them, and so they've had their business license. They've also been required to have a home occupation license permit.
So just like the store who has to go get land use and a building permit and then needs a business license to do business in it, yes. The home occupation is the land use portion of it to make sure that the residential nature of the neighborhood doesn't turn into a commercial area. That's kind of what the home occupation is purposeful.
It's not new.
No, it's not. I know that.
It just had never come up to me all the years that I had a business license. So that's why I was like, what?
Yeah.
The other thing that might be salient, to your point, is when we get into business licenses a little bit later, is that one of the things we got from feedback from you guys is that you wanted to up that level of gross receipts so that people wouldn't be required to get a business license. So that levels up too. So a lot of times, if you sell your trinkets and all of that stuff, you don't have to pay for a business license because you're not making enough money.
Are we at that now?
That would be in the ordinance.
That's in the
That's forthcoming.
meeting part.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Everything's on hold.
The other thing about home occupations, since I have 50 years of experience, is
I thought it was 100.
yeah, it keeps going up every week, I think. Home occupations, when people wanted, if you historically on the term home occupations and why it came into being, and this community the city has had home occupations in place for a few decades, going back to the 1990s, and that is that people want to run their business out of their home, and it could be a number of different things. It could be a kitchen, it could be somebody who runs a plumbing business. They have a van, and that's in their office is their home,
Right.
and then that plumbing business grows. Okay, and then they bring on an employee, and that employee then brings the second van in, and it's parked in front of the house on the street. The employee parks their car, jumps in the van, and goes to work. Those are things that now begin to infringe on a residential neighborhood, and it's probably time for them to go find a place that's appropriately zoned for them to run their business out of. That's the point of home occupations. It's not allowing that. Does that make sense? I mean, Actually, that's a real story, but from years ago, you know. But that's really what it's supposed to keep from happening.
Right. I have an issue with the 50 mile.
Sure, let's hear it.
We have a very, very successful farmer's market here in the city. And some of these farm stands go to that farmer's market. Mr. Sawtell travels to up the gorge, Hermiston. He brings produce back. Some of these farm stands sell that produce. And he has been very, very successful. And that farmer's market has done a lot for the community with kids, with apprenticeships and everything like that. And so I would not be interested in putting like a 50 mile on it, because there's products that he's bringing back from Tri-Cities. He's bringing back asparagus. It grows in the Tri-Cities, you know, and we know Tri-Cities is more than 50 miles away. Or, you know, Hood River has cherries. I think
It's peaches and stuff.
peaches and stuff, and we can't get those unless you go to Safeway, you know, and he's bringing it here for a lot of these farm stands to sell. And so I don't think I would be real interested in saying yes to a 50-mile radius for produce.
So he's bringing back produce and the local farm stands are getting it and reselling it?
Some of them do.
Oh, I
Okay,
didn't,
that's
I
a
didn't know
different
that.
story. And he's not doing that at an event. If he brings it back and sells it himself, he's not under the home occupation
Right.
license thing. He's at an event.
He's not, but the farm stands would be, because it's not.
I had
at
no
50
idea they
mile.
were doing that.
Some of them, yeah, some of them do go and get produce from him. And I
Oh,
don't
and then
wanna.
they take it and resell it.
Right, and then we're,
Oh,
you know, and so I wanna be careful if we're gonna initiate it, you know, I don't want it to affect his business, because he does good work. And people, you know, he's been doing this for how many years, you know, bringing produce into the city, so.
Because it doesn't affect the farmer's market. This doesn't have anything to do with the farmer's market, right?
No, it wouldn't, because they're under a special event permits.
I didn't know any of the stands were selling.
What stands are selling?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They stands that
I
are
know
outside
he's
the
told
city?
me- He has told me that he has farm stands coming in and buying produce from him.
Within the city limits?
I-
We don't
I
know.
didn't-
Okay.
This is the first time this has come up, and so when it was told, it just kind of flowed. And so when I heard the 50-mile rule, I was like, you know,
well, and if you want to get real technical about it, they sourced it right here in Molalla
Yeah, they do.
from him.
yeah,
This doesn't extend out to where it got sourced from before that.
right.
The
Am I
language,
right?
well, not exactly. I mean, yes, but no. The language has grown right now. But again, you know, we can. That's exactly why we're here, is to get this thing tailored to what you guys want it to be.
What is
Mayor-
the point of the 50-mile rule? Just curious. What's your guys' background on this?
So this actually came out of the discussion back in 2025, is that we were trying to figure out, I think the idea, if I'm recalling, and sorry, you guys, I'm
You don't
losing
remember.
No,
a
it's
few brain
good.
cells.
We don't
But-
remember much either,
But
obviously.
I think that the idea was that it would be kind of a local economic kind of, you know, cycle, as it were. I think that was what we kind of discussed back then.
I don't either.
I don't
that.
remember a 50-mile rule.
Yeah, because we had talked about tri-county area, or 10 miles, or 20, or none, or,
okay.
you know, so we kind of went over that, and I think the idea was that, at the time, at least, I think the feedback was that, having it be regional, would create that kind of ecosystem, that's the word I'm looking for, like a local economic ecosystem, to where folks are, you know, helping the local farms, and then selling their wares, but, you know, that's an easy one to get rid of.
Well, how exactly does, if they purchase it from a local vendor, if he's selling it right here in town, how does that 50-mile rule come in? To me, if I've got my farm stand, where did I source it?
The truth is, we would never know.
Right.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I sourced it from him right down the road.
And is policing it going to be more of a,
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
are we making a rule that's actually going to be able to be policed in terms, you know.
Yeah, because we're not gonna get that.
I think on the staff side, we were thinking, you know, if we get reports of pineapples that are showing up in farm stands, is that what farm stands are supposed to be for? And the question is for you all.
We know they didn't grow the pineapples here.
No, maybe
No.
they imported them and resold them and sold them
Okay.
locally.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly the balance we're trying to strike, right? Is that if you're reselling Chiquita bananas, you know, it's different from selling, you know, another regional farmer's stuff from, you know, out in Hermiston or what have you. Or at the same time, you know, if you're selling Dave's Killer Bread, maybe that's a different thing from selling, you know, Scott's Banana Bread. Scott's the neighbor selling at the farm stand. So these are some great points that are being brought up and sort of
I
maybe
see us
striking that
having a
balance.
hard enough time policing the Hispanic gentleman that shows up with the cart with all the fresh fruit in it,
Yeah.
making drinks. We can't even, the guy knows our schedule. It shows up at 5 o'clock Friday night.
Sure does.
And we can't police that. How are we gonna police a 50-mile rule on produce coming in and out of the city? You know,
we're not.
I
We
think
can't.
we're adding something that isn't necessarily needed until we have some sort of enforcement that can handle taking care of it.
Well, once again, we don't want to be the law enforcement on
No.
this stuff.
No,
We don't want to be out there looking and digging and making sure everything is done right. It's, if there's a complaint about it, then it raises its head, then we have to have something to go by to decide what action we'll take. And that's,
So so that was, I think, our ultimate concern was that, you know, things that were, you know, gonna be, we're trying to, I think, avoid folks going and buying bananas at the grocery store, marking them up to double and saying they're locally sourced and selling them. It's a bit of an honor system thing, but again, that's an easy one to
Happy
take
to
out of
remove it.
there.
Yeah.
any other questions, comments? Sir?
Yeah, this conversation has been really helpful for me to navigate through everything. Leota, thank you for all your experience and comments that you brought up. That was very enlightening for me also. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next step.
So I wanna repeat back to you guys what I've gotten out of this. Sorry, I do that all the time. I wanna make sure we hear some things. So it sounds like our biggest concern is over letter L with the farm stand shall only sell section, those three things. So fruits and vegetables within 50 miles. Would you just wanna see that excised out of there, not statewide, nothing like that, just get it out. Okay, and then food products for the cottage kitchens and whatnot, don't limit it to the farm stand on the property. It can be sold.
Right,
at
have co-op.
Yeah, because I think it's really a limitation on what the farm stand can sell as opposed to what the kitchen can make.
Right.
So we remove that limitation so that any farm stand in Molalla can sell goods. Now, do you want that to be from any cottage kitchen or domestic kitchen in Molalla, or any cottage kitchen and domestic kitchen in the state of Oregon? Because it's a state thing.
I don't think it matters. I think there just needs to be proper documentation on where things are coming from. Because if somebody gets something, eats it, and something tragic happens to them, I think the farm stand selling it needs to have some record of, hey, we got these loaves of banana bread from this person. It's not when we show up and we say, hey, this person ate banana bread, they bought it from you, who was making it? I think it's an important that, you know, I mean, you made baked goods and sold it to others to resell. If something was wrong, you would want them to say, hey,
sure,
I
it has to come
purchased.
back to the baker.
Exactly, and I
Yeah.
think that record needs to be kept with whoever is receiving the funds for selling the product.
So I actually believe, and I'll make sure of this before we bring this back to you, but I believe the state, one of the reasons that we said they need to be appropriately licensed with the state or do whatever they do with this, is that the state has requirements on record keeping for those cottage and domestic kitchens. So they should have those records with all of their stuff, is my understanding, but I'll verify that for you.
Right.
But so I think that exist by saying, hey, you have to be duly licensed. I think that's kind of in there, just not written in here.
I'll add that every single product needs to have the kitchen that it was made from and the specific identification number that that stand has. So every single product should have those labels on it that clearly denote where they came from.
Right.
Okay.
Every piece of every product.
And we'll
Recommendation
we'll verify
label.
that language in the state statute and include it in the staff report when we come back, so that we can just make sure that that provision's in there.
Right.
So I'm hearing cottage kitchen statewide,
Yeah.
without limitation, subject, of course, to the record keeping stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Last one, I do want to check with you guys, because right now, by removing those limitations, the cottage kitchens one's a little more straightforward. It would, is my understanding that it's still just fruits and vegetables, cottage and domestic kitchen stuff without those limitations that were put on those things? Or do we want to allow farm stands to sell everything? Because right now it would be, with your feedback included, it would be fruits, any fruits and vegetables, any cottage or domestic kitchen thing that was produced, and then branding items that advertise the farm stand, basically, because people like to make their T-shirts and their hats and that sort of thing for their stand. So we figured we're going to see that folks are going to want to do that. So so those would be the things that would be sold at a farm stand. And again, those cottage and domestic kitchens. Yeah, so it would be all
So
those things.
basically what you're asking, do we want to keep it to what you said, or do we want to allow, if they make some sort of little trinket or decorative thing for the season, do we want to limit them from being able to sell that? Is that what I'm hearing
Yes,
from you?
that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Well, it is called a farm stand. It's not called the,
The everything
Roadside,
stand. Yeah,
buy
I
everything.
think it should stick with just farm and kitchen produce type
stuff,
things.
kinda.
Yeah, produce stuff, yeah.
Uh-huh. Homemade, homegrown, or
Exactly.
farm
Mhm.
grown.
There's a place for the other types of items to be, there's different avenues that they can go to for selling that stuff.
yeah, I don't want to
Either-
see us come up with roadside stands for,
Earrings and jewelry and,
Right.
all that type of stuff, yeah.
mhm.
You disappointed about that? I
There-
figured you
there
would be.
goes his retirement business.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I think we've got what we need to
Yeah,
get you
no.
an amendment. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? Anything with you, Mr. Hub?
I'm good.
All right. I'll adjourn this work session at 5:47. Good evening. Oh, I need to flip my page here, sorry. We're all kind of behind. Oh. Good evening, this is a regular meeting of the Molalla City Council for July 22nd, 2026. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I would like to remind all participants, including staff, elected officials, and members of the public, that Robert's Rules of Order will be enforced in this meeting. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. Audience members, we request that you silence your cell phones and not conduct side conversations during the meeting. Thank you. Roll call, beginning with Councilor Bartholomew.
Councilor Bartholomew present.
Council President Vermillion present.
Mayor Kaiser present.
Counselor Childress present.
Counselor Schenkel present.
Dan Huff, City Manager, present.
City Recorder Christy Teets present. Counselor Casey Bicenius is present, attending via Zoom.
Finance Director Cindy Sharon present.
Water Quality Superintendent Seth Kelly present.
Associate Planner Clarissa Davis, present.
Assistant City Manager Matt Korthel, present.
All right, is there any changes to the agenda tonight? All right. Up next, we'll deal with consent agenda consisting of City Council meeting minutes of July 22nd, 2026. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Christie, will you call the roll?
Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Counselor Bicenius. Well, I understand there's a delay.
There is.
Counselor Bice.
Oh,
Thank you.
There he is.
that was loud.
That was very loud.
All right, up next, we have a presentation, Timateo de la Cruz Memorial Skate Park discussion, and I'd like to invite Salena de la Cruz to the podium. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, City Councilors, and City staff. My name is Salena de la Cruz-Forsythe, President of the Timateo de la Cruz Memorial Skate Park Foundation. It's been a while since we last talked. Shortly after his passing was the last time I saw you. That was in 2022. And a lot has changed and a lot has happened since then. We're no longer just asking to rename the current skate park. We're now leading the new initiative to rebuild the skate park. We're not asking you to approve skate park design or even commit any funding. We're here to ask for something much more foundational. We're asking for your partnership and for your support to officially begin rebuilding one of Molalla's most important youth spaces, while honoring someone who dedicated so much of his life to this community. This project just isn't about concrete. It's about community. It's about opportunity. It's about creating something our kids can be proud of for decades. Next slide, please. Why we're here. Tonight we're asking for the City Council's support to allow this project to move forward collaboratively. Specifically, we're asking to partner with the city throughout this project, begin planning through an organized process, form a collaborative working group, pursue grants and fundraising, and honor Timateo through the future skate park. One thing I'd like to emphasize is that we're not asking for construction funding tonight, if at all. We're asking for permission to begin doing the work necessary to make the project successful. Wouldn't we rather spend the next several years building something together instead of waiting until the current park becomes an even greater liability? Next slide, please. Who was Timateo? Before we talk about rebuilding the park, I'd like to talk about why this project carries Timateo's name. In 1997, when he was just an 8th grader, Timateo helped inspire the effort to build Mollalla's original skate park. That dream became reality June 24th of 2000. Even after the park opened, he never stopped skating. He competed throughout Oregon and beyond. He mentored young riders, and kids really looked up to him. You could hear them talk in hushed whispers, "That's Timateo," when he would go to the skate park. He represented Molalla with pride. When we lost Timateo in 2022, we didn't just lose an incredible skater. We lost someone who believed deeply in this community, being born and raised here. This project isn't replacing his legacy, it's continuing it. Next slide, please. Back then, the community members came together because Mollalla's youth deserved a place to skate safely. And when I mean they came together, they stuck their hands down in the ground, they helped lay and pour the concrete, they did the work. We all did the work. That vision became reality. And today, that park has served generations. But skate park designs have changed dramatically. Safety standards have changed, accessibility has changed, how people use parks has changed. Now it's our turn to invest in the future, just like previous generations invested in ours. Next slide, please. Why rebuild? These are 3 really critical reasons as to why you should think about the rebuild. First, safety. The park has aging features and outdated layout. We've actually been voted one of the worst in the country now, and I'm sure you've seen that on social media. Second, community. A modern skate park becomes a gathering place for families, youth, and visitors. Third, economic impact. Events bring people into town. Families will shop locally, restaurants will benefit, businesses will benefit. Communities throughout Oregon have seen this happen after investing in quality skate parks. This is much bigger than skating. This is community development. Next slide, please. Our vision is to build a destination skate park designed for everyone. Skateboarders, rollerbladers, scooter riders, BMX riders. And if you actually read the rules outside of this current skate park, it only allows for rollerbladers and skateboarders, not bikes, not scooters, but those actually do visit this park. Experienced riders, young beginners, people with disabilities, families who simply want a place to watch. A modern skate park isn't just a collection of ramps. It's public infrastructure, it's recreation, it's healthy activity, it's community space. It's something Molalla can be proud of. Next slide, please. Why this matters. This project creates ripple effects. Healthier kids, more outdoor recreation, community connection, downtown activity, future generations benefiting from decisions we make today. I'd ask each of you, what kind of legacy do we want to leave for the youth growing up in Molalla? Because parks don't just build athletes, they build confidence. Next slide, please. Honoring Timateo. And at the forefront of this project is honoring Timateo. It's one of the most meaningful parts of this project for me as his sister, for our family. I'd like to ask the city consider ways we can do that. Originally, we asked to rename the park the Timateo de la Cruz Memorial Skate Park. That's still an idea, but after conversations with Dan Huff, the city manager, it may not be in the best interest of the park. So we could still honor him by a memorial plaza, interpretive signage, a legacy wall, some sort of permanent plaque or display telling his story, or the original proposal of renaming the Molalla Skate Park the Timateo de la Cruz Memorial Skate Park. His story deserves to inspire future generations who never had the chance to know him. Every young rider deserves to understand whose shoulders they're standing on. Next slide, please. What I'm providing here is a project roadmap. This is totally high level, and you might be asking, how do you even know that? I have actually worked for the state of Oregon for the last 16 years, the Oregon Employment Department. I am PROCLAMATIONS certified for organizational change management, and I have my project management certification. So I know what it takes to put a project together. I've led multi-million-dollar projects within the state of Oregon for the Oregon Employment Department that were very successful. So I know what it takes to make a project successful, and that's from a high level going to include city support, and that's why we're here. We're asking that we get approval to move forward with this new initiative. The stakeholder meetings, we're going to include skaters, the people that are actually going to be out there using the park. I've learned a lot since I helped my brother 20 plus years ago with the original skate park. I was fresh out of high school. I just graduated 2 years out of high school, and now I'm 49 years old, and I've learned a lot. Like I said, I work for the state now. I've managed projects, and the great news is since I was part of that original park with my brother, I can recognize lessons that we've learned from that project and move them forward with things that I've learned over the years. We're going to provide community engagement, professional skate park designers, grant applications, fundraising, final design, construction. That's all intentional. Successful projects follow a process. You know, how many of you go on social media and you see questions being asked about the skate park? Like, why aren't we getting designers right now? Because there's a certain flow that has to happen. And that includes, well, if we bring designers in, who's paying for this? Like, you can't just pull that out of thin air. So we're gonna follow a process that helps us avoid costly mistakes and increase our chances of receiving grant funding and a successful project, which is what everybody wants. Next slide, please. And to answer your question, where's the money coming from? This is our funding strategy. Who's going to pay for this? Our goal is to build this through partnerships. That's corporate sponsors, community donations, fundraising, bottle drop, private gifts, in-kind donations, and grant opportunities. Again, we're not requesting immediate construction funding from the city, if at all or ever. We're asking for the city's partnership while we build the financial foundation responsibly. When people contribute to a project, they have more ownership and more stake in wanting it to succeed. Next slide, please. Community support is tantamount to that. This project belongs to Molalla, not to me, not to our foundation, to Molalla. We've already begun building community excitement. We've talked about it with our families. We've talked about it with businesses, schools, parents, skaters, former skaters. Everyone has a place in this project. We welcome ideas, we welcome collaboration, because the strongest community projects are built together. Next slide, please. Why professional design? As I said, I was part of the original project, and professional design was not used until the very end. And at that point, we kind of had to deal with what we had. So we've received questions asking why we're waiting to hire designers. One, we don't have any money yet, okay? You can't just hire designers with no money. The answer is simple. Professional designers are absolutely part of this project, but successful projects establish scope, partnerships, funding strategy, and community priorities first. Then designs turn those ideas into reality. That's how successful projects are managed. Doing it this way protects taxpayers, improves grant opportunities, and results in a better final product. Next slide, please. So in order for us to do that, the first thing that we did was we created a 501c3 nonprofit under the Timateo de la Cruz Memorial Skate Park Foundation, because we knew this was bigger than Timateo. This was for Molalla, so we needed to create a foundation that could honor him and what we're working to get done. We're volunteer driven. Like I said, I work for the state. I work a normal job like everybody else. And people are volunteering their time to collaborate on this. We're mission focused, and we're committed to transparency, committed to accountability, and committed to working alongside the city every step of the way. We're not looking to replace the city's role. We're here to complement it, and together we can accomplish far more than either of us could do alone. Next slide, please. So there's 5 things that I'm asking for today. Approve that we can move forward, and that's because that is city property. I can't just go in there and demolish it and start from scratch without approval from the city. Partner with the foundation. I'll collaborate with you. I'll provide updates on what's going on, and you let me know you're doing it wrong if I am. Support community engagement, and that's, like I said, that's going to be any interested parties that would want to take part in that, to be involved. I've actually already been in conversations with the Ant Farm on how we can collaborate, since their building is right next to the skate park. Support pursuing grants and work collaboratively toward rebuilding the Molalla skate park. But I'll leave you with one question. If not, oh, next slide, sorry. If not now, when? Because every year we wait is another year our youth continue using an aging facility that no longer reflects the future Molalla deserves. And I'd like to close with a quote. It's okay if you don't have this slideshow. A community is remembered by what it builds for its future. I truly believe that, because years from now, children won't remember tonight's meeting. They'll remember the place where they learned perseverance, where they made lifelong friends, where they discovered confidence, where families where families gathered, and where a community chose to invest in them. That is the opportunity before you tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'm gonna have you hang out, because I'm sure council has some questions for staff also.
Okay.
So I think it's important we keep the communication open and ask all of our questions and have everybody at the table while we ask. I'll let council start if they have a question they want to start with.
All right, so I'm looking at this. I know that that's not the design, but the space that you are kind of showing is much larger than what we've got. We don't own the land behind the park, do we?
No.
So how do you think you're gonna achieve that as far as that part is concerned?
So the intention of this project is to use where the current skate park is. I know that's
That thing
they're just
looked-
a
yeah,
pie
it
in the
looked really
sky
big.
kind of
Okay.
thing. And the last I had heard was that there was an attempt to reach out to the person that owned that piece of property to try to buy it for the skate park, and they said no. But that's all hearsay, so I don't know if that's true or not. But my intention for this was literally just to take the current space that we have, demolish
use
what's
that.
there, and start from scratch with professional skate park designers. Because understanding that as it sits with, I believe, if I remember correctly, that was 7,600 square feet. That was $36,000 to build back in 2000.
Yeah, I can just
Now
imagine,
it's gonna be between $200,000 and $300,000, and that's with a 10% forward-focusing forecast for potential anomalies or things that we don't anticipate. So I'm going based on that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, let's make it big, let's make it huge, let's go somewhere else. That's
Yeah.
not my intention,
Right.
because that's not the current scope of this project, because we don't have another piece of land. Unless we get some angel donor that decides, I have this 100-acre piece of land that I would like to donate to the skate park. Fantastic, I love you for it. Like, I would be so excited about that, but that's not the intention of this project, because I know that the current project where it sits is 7,600 square feet, so we're gonna work with that
What you
area
have there.
because
Okay.
that's what we have, and I know that the budget is already going to be pushing the envelope on how much it's going to cost to rebuild and start again.
So my question is for staff to start. I've never heard of a project like this. Is this something as a city we could allow to happen? Or is this whole thought pie in the sky? I mean, for somebody to be able to come in and remodel a city park without it being the city, it's,
Yeah, I mean, there's a way to do that.
Okay.
You can have agreements and things that get you to that point of allowing a nonprofit to come in and improve a facility. The one question, I'm going to defer this one to Mac real quick, because I cannot remember off the top of my head, but where is the skate park in the parks master plan?
So it's in the Parks Master
Okay.
Plan. It's in the Parks Master Plan,
Okay.
and I don't know priority level.
I want to say from when we did it, it was at the bottom. It was at the last of the list, and it was because of funding. It wasn't out of disrespect for anybody.
No, it was just
Because of
because there
funding,
was,
right.
the funding wasn't there.
I think if I remember correctly, because I read that, it was
Yeah.
2030, because you guys did the feasibility study.
Right.
And 2030 was the earliest that
Yeah,
you would even look
at.
at the skate park as a potential to do something with.
yeah.
Well, I'll go a little bit more if that's okay, Mayor. I think that what Ms. De La Cruz is proposing, they bring a level of capacity, which is our other big obstacle, is that we run with a very, lean bench depth so that we're not, overspending people's money on staff, that sort of thing. But the capacity that they bring, could potentially make moving forward feasible from a capacity standpoint. And it is in the Parks Master Plan, and I would say that it's doable from a staff level.
So, in a nutshell, you're good with seeing council consider this?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I'll put it on the record. I am friends with the De La Cruz family. My wife grew up with them, and I did grow up in Portland. I was there when under Burnside Bridge was built. I saw what that brought. I saw what the Estacada Skate Park brought. I saw what Westland Skate Park brought. Estacada, Westland were not necessarily destination parks, but it brought kids out. It gave them something to do. Burnside Bridge, I know most people in Molalla, when they hear Burnside Bridge, they go, ooh, oh, sharp, David. But
No, it's a great skate park, and they actually remodeled it.
yeah, and literally when it was first built, we would have people flying in, skateboards in hand, at PDX, and they would get in a cab. They didn't have Uber then. And they would go to the skate park, and they would skate for a few hours, and they'd go get back on the plane, and they'd go to their next competition. And I can tell you one of those people was Tony Hawk. I got to meet him one day, and that's exactly what he did. He was in between events. He flew in to skate at Burnside. If we're able to make something a destination park, it's going to add to your tourism, which I know how much you love working on tourism. If we're bringing people here, it's good for business. And maybe the business owner behind might be interested when parents need something to do while their kids are at the skate park, because I know that business owner, he has several businesses in that property. I don't know if council has other questions. I don't know if I can even vote on this, Christie.
You cannot.
Okay, so I am gonna
I would like to restate, it is up to your council to decide whether you can partially participate in discussion, or whether you'd like to recuse yourself at this point.
I will recuse myself at this point, and
May I ask you a question
Absolutely.
before you do that? Do you stand to gain any money on this?
I absolutely do not. But I've also seen other things across the state that people did not have any financial gain, and they ended up in ethics investigations for several years. So I would much rather be a non-voting member and support them outside of this and help them in any way, shape I can, than bring an ethics issue onto our city staff at this time.
I can respect that, and we'll excuse you. I won't be gang.
So to complete that, Mayor, you'll need to excuse yourself from the dais as council continues conversation.
Council President,
Thank
it's all
you.
yours.
Thank you, Mayor.
Get out of here.
Can I just add a couple of things? There's, and Mac is absolutely right. The part of the problem with the skate park is, number one, there has never been any funding sources that we could look at. Number two, there's the bench depth issue that we have at a staff level, and if you don't have a funding source, then it's easy to say, yeah, we're not going to work on that right now because there's no funding for it. But if there is a funding source developing, and the funding source is actually producing some of that work, then we do have the ability to partner with them and move forward. And they also, as she said in her presentation, she's also developing, I don't know if developing is the right word, Salena, you can tell me if it's not.
Okay.
At least discussions with the ant farm that there may be some help there also, and that would be a good thing. And we have two nonprofits, and there's some agreements we'll have to put together and move forward with them on, but there's nothing wrong with that. And who knows?
Yes.
One more thing just to add to what Mr. Huff said a little bit is that, there will be multiple decision points for this council along the way. So I don't want you to feel like you're handing over the reins to a group that's not elected to represent the community. That's not the case. There will still be multiple decision points along the way if you guys were to approve that partnership. So.
Yes.
Council President, I just want to say I personally like the idea, and I've always been for bringing business to this community, and people would come here and they would buy lunch and they would spend, and then, I've always thought, we need stuff for kids to do besides, maybe negative things, and, I think it'd be good, but the one thing that stood out to me is when it was said, like, we have to address this issue in 2030 anyway. And because of financial thing, I think we would be taking care of that. Not only taking care of it early, but we wouldn't have to come up with the money. So we kind of win in a lot of ways, and that's all I have.
All right. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, one thing that I wanted to just bring out in the open, in your fundraising, of course, you're talking about getting the construction done and, going forward in that respect. Have you given any consideration to ongoing support monetarily of the skate park, because our skate park sometimes is in bad shape because we haven't had the funds to properly maybe maintain it. So would the foundation consider ongoing support in that respect?
Yeah, that's part of what I did back in 2000. I actually hosted skate competitions every year for 10 years, and so that helped to raise funds. It also helped to bring people in here that had never been to Molalla. They didn't even know Molalla existed. But I also created a group called Skate Watch, which is something that I plan on reinventing for this initiative, which is a group of skaters that can be mentors and help to teach smaller children to be able to skate. But also it helps that there's somebody there that, like, hey, just kind of gently nudge. Rule number 2, like, make sure you're doing this. Like, and it's all volunteer based, but in my experience, having worked with the skate park before, is there's a level of respect that's between all the people that show up at the skate park to skate, and so that's also part of that. But there's going to be ongoing maintenance that's obviously going to need to be done, and that includes, me coming over here maybe and picking up trash if that's what needs to be done, or my brother or my other brother. Like, we have 5 other, 4 other besides myself after Timateo passed, but we have a lot of family members, 30 nieces and nephews. So we have a very large family. So a lot of this, yes, it's going to be volunteer, but there is going to be some maintenance costs that are going to be associated with it that we hope to also get with some of this fundraising, and that's going to be through the avenues that I noted.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Yes.
Just a reminder that Councilor Bysenius is on the phone, just in case he wants to add anything.
Councilor Bysenius, do you have anything to add? And we'll wait for the delay.
longer delay than you think.
I don't know how long of a delay this is, but, I'm for adding something, to the community to help get kids out and do things that are positive. I just like the idea that there are checks and balances through the process that we can evaluate.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Questions, comments? Well, Salena, thank you so much for your presentation.
Do we,
And I'll get there, yeah. I was just gonna say thank you, and I do support also the skate park and your initiative. We do need great places for our kids. And I'm all for supporting more of that in our community. So at this point, we need a motion.
I'm gonna defer to Mr. Huff.
Yeah,
It sounds
it'd be
like.
good if you had a motion.
okay.
Then I'd entertain a motion to partner with this foundation and give them the support that we can.
I second that.
No, that's fine.
Okay?
Yeah.
Does that work?
You bet.
All right.
Okay.
Christy, could you call the roll?
Certainly. Counselor Schenkel,
Aye.
Counselor Childress,
Aye.
Council President Vermillion,
Aye?
Counselor Bartholomew,
Aye.
Counselor Bicenius,
Should have done his
Wait.
first.
10 minutes.
Maybe the Jeopardy music.
thank you.
Sorry, my seat for a second there.
Aye.
So the record will reflect our vote is 5-0 with 1 abstention from the mayor. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. We look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your commitment to Mollalla's community and the kids.
And Mayor Kaiser, you may return to your podium. Chair.
Hanging out in the back.
All right, up next will be public comment. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to present information relevant to the city, but not listed as an item on the agenda. Prior to speaking, citizens shall complete a comment form and deliver it to the city recorder. The city council does not generally engage in dialogue with those making comments, but may refer the issue to the city manager. Complaints should first be addressed at the department level prior to addressing the city council. Christy, do you have any forms tonight?
I don't. There will be one addition that will be reflected in your packet. And I apologize for the interruption. Councilor Bicenius and I are working together via my cell phone right now. And I think because of the length of the delay that we're experiencing and the disruption that it's causing to the meeting, that when we move forward through public hearings, ordinance readings, resolutions, I'm going to have him text his vote to me. I will call the vote into the record, and of course, everything that happens on my phone is public record, but I think to just continue with the flow of the meeting a little bit simpler, we're gonna handle it that way if council approves.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next will be public hearing for ordinance number 2026-03, adopting Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 18.01, Murals. This item requires a public hearing. I'm opening the public hearing for ordinance number 2026-03 at 6:35. The purpose of this hearing is to hear a staff report and listen to public testimony. Does any council member wish to acknowledge actual or potential conflicts of interest? All right, Associate Planner Davis, council's ready for your report.
Thank you, Mayor. Christy, when you get a moment, may I have my presentation, please? As Mayor Kaiser kindly introduced, tonight I'm bringing forward the proposed mural language and code for ordinance number 2026-03. This code was originally started with the Planning Commission. We brought it to Planning Commission, I believe, in March, and they gave us a lot of good ideas that we then took to City Council, and you all heard all of those ideas, and then very brilliantly referred us to the Beautification and Cultural CPC Committee. And let me tell you, the people on that committee had a lot of fantastic ideas that were very beneficial, and we had Councillor Childress and Councillor Schenkel there with us, as well as lots of other people, several members of that committee, who had great recommendations and ideas, as well as someone who came from an arts nonprofit who goes to a lot of these different arts management meetings at cities. And so this outside representative who had this very specific art background also had a lot of ideas for us as well. So we were able to take all of these ideas from these people who are very passionate about arts. I will admit it, I'll be the first to admit it, I am a planner by trade. I like language and numbers, and it was great to be in a committee of people who had that expertise. So we were able to work with them and hear their input and their thoughts, and we used that to develop a proposed mural code, which we then brought back to the Beautification and Cultural CPC committee meeting, and we got a couple more inputs from them on that code, a little bit more refinement, and they recommended that we bring that code to City Council for adoption with their few pieces of refinement. So we tweaked that code, and we have it here for you today as well. Could I get a couple slides through? Maybe 1, 2, or yeah. One more. Perfect. For the record, when we are looking at adopting new codes, one of the things that we need to ensure is that we're going through the correct process, and that we are finding that the codes that we're proposing for adoption and the rules that we're proposing will be good for the community. So it needs to be within the public interest. And this was something that we found and we heard both from members of the community and from the Beautification and Cultural CPC Committee, is that murals are able to foster community pride, they help to strengthen a community's identity, and they are able to help make a more attractive community. So we found that yes, this proposed code amendment would be within the public interest for all of these reasons, as well as it would also meet the requirements of several other things that we need to make a code amendment. Next slide, please.
Yes, it's raining.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I could hear it. I was like, wow.
Thank goodness.
It's good for the fires.
Yeah. All right, so a little bit of that proposed code summary. We heard from City Council as well as from Planning Commission that there were very specific zones that you thought that these murals should be located in. And we incorporated that in. So murals would be allowed in the commercial zones, industrial zones, and public, semi-public, such as schools. I think Mayor Kaiser specifically thought that that would be a good idea, so we appreciated that. Additionally, we wanted to put some content restrictions in there. This is very broad, and this was looking at no explicit content, no violent content. So things that really are reflective of the community identity and are good for all ages and appropriate for all audiences. Additionally, we have a minimum duration of 3 years that a mural would be up, unless specific circumstances were triggered, such as a building getting sold, going through substantial renovations, or undergoing a change of use. And that was so that way that the staff time that was invested into this was, it was, I love the saying, is the juice worth the squeeze? So I'm bringing it to you all here, but making sure that staff time is used beneficially. Additionally, we had some maintenance requirements. These murals, they're going to be up in the public community. They're going to be part of the fabric here, and it needs to be able to look nice and to maintain looking nice through that. We also had some design standards. These were mostly focused on creating murals that would last well and would be durable. And additionally, that wouldn't be distracting to drivers. You know, things that came up in mural code in a lot of other jurisdictions was no electrical components. We want this to be simple and not be distracting for people, but to be a very good presence in the community. Additionally, is the easement, and that's kind of the linchpin of how we're able to have those content standards, is that the property owner would need to offer to the city and to give to the city an easement for that wall, so that way that the city could legally look at those content standards and could legally apply those. Otherwise, you absolutely cannot do that. And so this is kind of how we're able to look at content standards in that way. And we did send this off to our legal team, and they were able to review it, and they had no note, well, they had a few notes that we incorporated in, but no notes on the easement process itself. So we've got this reviewed by outside sources. I will also state our assistant city manager has his JD and is an excellent source of fact-checking things. So we're able to get his take on this as well. Additionally, the proposed code standards include some process application pieces. So it includes, you know, what do you need to include in your application? Is there an appeal process? How does that work? What are the actual ways that that murals would go up into the community? So it has all of that as well in there. Next slide, please. So based on this finding of facts and the work that we've done throughout this past 6 months, you know, researching other code jurisdictions, speaking with other planners, speaking with our very talented committee members on that B&C committee, as well as City Council and Planning Commission, we believe that this code would support the City of Molalla in creating good murals here, and we recommend that City Council adopt Ordinance 2026-03. I'm happy to answer any questions at this point in time.
Nope. I got two.
Of course.
Trying to figure out. Let's go. Says page 31 or page 4. Letter I. Says review and approve process. Mural applications shall be reviewed by a publicly appointed body. I'm kind of curious if council has any issue with rewording that to that committee, just naming it as Beautification and Culture Committee.
Mayor Kaiser, do you mind if I interrupt here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course. So, you know, staff in the background, we're talking, we really recognize that the B&C committee has excellent expertise in evaluating art. I can't claim that I would be the best evaluator of that. However, we wanted to leave that more flexibility, and the B&C committee actually requested that they not be named specifically in case there's an instance in which they didn't feel that they could review an application. And so they requested a little more flexibility, with understanding that they would happily hear any mural applications if the timing was right.
So then it goes to the question, who are we appointing to do this then?
I might speak to that. And just further clarification, the B&C committee is willing to review applications, but the thought was, just for example, with our park CPC, right now it's not in operation. There might come a time when when the CPC is, the Beautification and Culture, is not in operation, but a mural application comes in, and at that time, the City Council would determine some public body to do it.
And we could keep that on a case-by-case basis, with the understanding that the B&C committee is the process, and at the time, if there was ever any confusion, staff would bring it to City Council with that request.
Right, and the problem with that is that it eliminates their appeals process if it comes to council for approval. So, and if we leave the wording vague, so when somebody turns in an application, it's like there's nothing, and they look at this and go, who's going to look at my application process? Well, somebody that the council appoints. So that's where I'm trying to get some clarity on something a little more foundation.
So just to provide some of that, that would be in the application documents, as far as, you know, who's reviewing it, and we'd be letting them know, kind of like when people come to planning commission, we let them know, hey, your issue's going to have a hearing on this date, this time, this location. And I think the idea, and these guys have already kind of stated that is that just in case, for instance, we couldn't field a beautification and culture committee, you always have your planning commission. And your planning commission can fill that role and retain that appeal ability as well. So I think that was the idea, is just in case, because sometimes you know how it goes. You either can't field enough people to volunteer and do the work, or other things may happen. And so you guys would just vote after, once this all, assuming this would pass, you guys would have a vote tonight or some other night to appoint the B and C committee. We would prepare the documents and the administrative documents that most people are probably going to be reading, more often than not, with those things apparent on them, for whatever that's worth.
Okay. And then my second point would be, we currently do have some murals in the city, and I would like to see those go against the process, or go up into our process, and just see where they stand with our rules that the code that we've established. I don't know if it necessarily means get the property owner involved, but whoever the body is that's going to be looking over these, maybe they can go take a look at these murals and make sure that they're in line. I've heard there's an easement that's needed. Maybe we need to talk to, I know the one on the side of City Hall we don't need to worry about, but I think there's one next to Sinclair. I don't know if it was finished or not, but maybe see if we can get that process finalized as a standard, so that way it's not just floating out there and they can just do what they want as time goes on. I don't know what council thinks of that or not.
Well, I'm trying to think on that, because I would say generally things of that nature are grandfathered in. They're taken on face value. They're obviously, I would say, not offensive, or the city would have found some reason to take a step.
Right.
And that would,
But how long do we let it stay up for? We're talking, there's a time frame in this, so letting it be grandfathered, that's why I was thinking having the process kind of go take its course on inspecting the mural, and then seeing maybe if the property owner would be interested in the easement and falling into line with what we're setting as the standard.
yeah, since we're talking easement, I'll defer to Mr. Corthell.
So I think a pretty salient point on this is that any mural that's painted on right now is actually not legal.
Right.
Obviously, we haven't expended a bunch of resources going after folks for any of that sort of thing, but and especially since we were anticipating this code to come before you guys. So there would be a good nexus for us to go out and work with those folks to get them into this process, because I think it's a little different if if you look at signs, for instance, where there was a one sign code and people built these signs and did this stuff under that sign code, and then you change it and that sign wouldn't be compliant anymore. That's typically where we would see that grandfathering, is that, hey, it was legal when you built it. We're not going to come in and change the rules and try to make you spend a bunch of money and do that kind of thing. As long as it stays up there and stays in shape. If you rip it down, yeah, you got to comply with the new stuff. These ones are a little different story because they were never legal to begin with. So I think you do have an option to try and get them into this process, kind of through that same cooperative, almost code compliance, but that's not where we would start, obviously, process that we use, and just say, hey, here's the rules that it wasn't allowed. City Council's found a way to make these allowed, and we want to get you into this process and work with you. But the alternative would be if they said no, that then code compliance would be the fallback. So that's where we would be.
Point of clarification. Is the one on City Hall illegal?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
I thought that the council approved that one.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's
I
been
wasn't
there
here.
forever.
I mean, it was,
Oh.
I'm sure somebody did.
Yeah,
If we go
I
back
was-
and do some research.
What is there on the books
wasn't
that
here.
makes that makes the murals illegal today? If we have no code about murals, how can it be illegal?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's the sign code would apply.
Okay, and murals do fall under signs,
Okay.
in
Okay.
generally
And so
speaking.
we're taking it out of there and making it its own thing now.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to be flip. I was just trying to figure out.
No, it's a great question.
You guys, there's some untangling there that.
It's a great question, and murals has been a far more complex topic than I would have ever expected it to be.
Nope.
That's for sure.
That's true.
Thank you to your committee, by the way.
Oh,
We appreciate your hard work and diligence on this.
you're welcome. It's our pleasure. Sort of.
I got that one.
I guess on the existing murals, I don't know what we want to achieve what do we want to achieve by trying to bring them into compliance with the current code? I think there's more questions about, before we take that step, that we need to determine what we're going to benefit, how are we going to benefit, what's the purpose of doing that? And it may just be the fact that they're not legal under the current, but
Some benefits might be that then they fall under our provisions to maintain the mural, keep it looking nice, that sort of thing, whereas if you guys were to say, hey, there will be no retroactivity to this, so existing murals, basically saying existing murals get to stay, pardon me, is that then there's no real obligation for folks to maintain them and do some of that work. I think that's probably the most impactful one. But if they went to expand it or change it or something like that, then they would be falling under our new provision.
Any other questions or comments? All right, public comment for this item is now open. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor or in opposition? All right, I will close this public hearing at 6:52. And moving on. Let's see. And we'll go to ordinance number 2026-06, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, General Business Licensing. We need to do a hearing before that, correct? Sorry, on this, it has the ordinance above the hearing, so I'll go to hearing first.
You're still in public hearings, sir?
Okay.
So it will just have the title and should have the public hearing information below.
Okay. This item requires public hearing. I'm opening the public hearing for ordinance number 2026-06, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, General Business Licensing at 6:53. The purpose of this hearing is to hear a staff report and listen to public testimony. Does any council member wish to acknowledge actual or potential conflicts of interest? Question. I'm in the process of starting a business in the city. Would that be seen as a conflict regarding this?
I can answer that. It would be in this case because there's a provision in here to lower the cost of a business license for home occupations to 50%, which would be a pecuniary interest. So I would say there's an actual conflict in this case.
Council President, I will gladly hand this over to you,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Corthell.
how convenient for you, Mr. Mayor.
I didn't plan for this.
Well, he's got to go stand in the corner now.
I'll go back to the corner.
Now that we've got that out of the way, Mr. Corthell, council is ready for your staff report.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, council. So Mollalla's current business licensing ordinance was adopted in 1999, has since been amended 7 times. Some of these amendments were fairly comprehensive, others were piecemeal, but none were really all-inclusive. Due to kind of those many amendments over the years, the current state of the code doesn't really adhere to modern tenets of statutory construction, which renders it confusing to the average reader, and in some areas legally deficient in terms of enforcement. Staff utilized the Model Business License Code from the League of Oregon Cities combined with some important provisions from the city's current business license code to provide an overhaul of the city's business license code and procedures. Attached to this report is a summary of proposed changes. And so those proposed changes, this kind of highlights what's changing, what would be changing about this. We reorganized several sections. That's just to follow best practices of statutory construction and make the code easier to read and follow. We added definitions to provide greater clarity in the ordinance, properly shift responsibility to the city manager, and expand meanings to better capture all situations. We removed some definitions that there were words defined that weren't in the code. So we got rid of those. We amended the exemptions section, added exemptions for kids under 18. That's your quintessential lemonade stand. We've all seen those videos. So we created some exceptions for kids under 18 operating a lemonade stand or the like, lawn mowing business, that sort of thing. So that I don't think we would have ever enforced on that, but now it wouldn't be a rule at all. And I think rightfully. Nonprofits and businesses that gross less than $7,500 annually are also exemption. So that's just an increase of the exemption from $2,500 to $7,500, that pre-existing exemption, and remove the exemption for locally grown goods. Amended application requirements ensures businesses are using appropriate naming conventions under the state rules and are not creating a daisy chain of businesses for the city to try and regulate. We added a denial, revocation, and suspension section, which ensures the city has appropriate recourse in the case of individuals failing or refusing to comply with the licensing requirement. And we amended the fee section to make the home occupation business license fee 50% of the regular permit cost. So that was, again, in response to your guys' desire to help try and support micro businesses. So reducing those costs to them. So that is the, in a nutshell, all the changes that were made. And that concludes my staff report.
All right, thank you. Does council have any questions for staff?
Yes, lots.
Mr. Childers, take it away.
And I will say that at the last council meeting, we were given proposed business license code overhaul for discussion that was attached to our information. And that's what I made my questions and changes based on. But then I noticed when I got into the that portion of it in the packet here that it's done differently. So I'm gonna have a little bit of trouble here going back and forth in what we're actually looking at in our packet and what I marked up.
Okay.
But top down, there are just there's some basic questions. Business licenses, part of issuing a business license, part of the city approval process on a business license is notifying the fire department, the police department, and anyone else who may have reason to need to know that a business is being operated in a home, okay, or in a store or anywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of this, the majority of this is for safety reasons. Because if somebody's doing a welding business of some sort in their garage and there's a fire, the fire department needs to know that they may be facing certain things when they go out to that fire. Now, my question is, when we raise this limit, the income limit to $7,500, what process is going to be used so that all of those first responder agencies and safety agencies know that that business is taking place there?
So, I'm not trying to be curt or anything, but that's not how it really works.
Okay.
What fire does is they'll review it, but their only feedback is building related, building code related. So there's still a building code process. There's still a requirement to comply with occupancy rules, and that's where fire lies. So that doesn't get rid of that, and they'll still see the applications for the ones that are under $7,500, but other folks would still be required to comply with the building code, and that's really, if they ever provide a comment on the business license, it's, hey, they need to go through the building process, you know, and usually we've already told folks that, we generally know that as well. So that's kind of what they're looking at is building code, and anyone who's doing anything still, it doesn't eliminate their responsibility to comply with building codes and land use.
Okay, and so the permit that I just learned about tonight, the home occupancy permit, doing all of that, that's where that's gonna cover then, that piece of it?
The home ones, yes.
Okay. Okay.
More questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. There's constant reference in here to the city manager approving, and that it must be filed with the city manager, And I think in some of our other work, we had decided to take the city manager off the hook and use a different term. Was it city manager or their designee? Was it city management, city staff?
So that is the definition of city manager in this statute. If you look at the definitions, it
Yeah.
says city manager means the city of Molalla city manager or their designee.
Yeah.
Well, we're learning all kinds of new things tonight, aren't we? Okay, then we can leave that alone. Okay, now here's one word. You have the word relators when it should be realtors, but now that's under exemptions. Letter B.
Yeah, I had a question on that too, but I think
I think it's supposed to be realtors, not relators.
It absolutely
Oh, yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So what she's talking about on the exemptions from the home licensing, if I'm understanding this, so like beauticians and stuff that work out of their home, as long as they have a business license, they don't have to have this home license? Is that what that's saying?
In which provision, I'm sorry?
Exemptions, item B.
It's on page 45.
So it says, individuals who work only on the premises of and as part of a licensed business that includes the activity of the individual. So if the salon has a business license, every individual who does work in that salon doesn't need to have their own license, is what that's saying. If you have a real estate company,
okay.
then each realtor doesn't
Wow,
have
I
to,
took that
or each
way-
relator in
okay,
this
got
case.
it.
But,
Each relator.
and
Yeah.
that is a Scrivener's error, so we can correct that without amending.
Okay. Now I have to find where this one is in the new one here.
While she's looking, does anybody else have a question?
Good point. No one else have any questions?
Counselor Bison-Ace, do you have any questions related to business license changes?
Okay, it's different in the one that we're looking at tonight, here, so that doesn't apply.
I think the reason that you're seeing it different is because we were trying to be responsive to you guys' feedback from the original time, so
I remembered
think some of
something
that-
about this
Yeah.
coming up, yes,
Yeah.
about seeing what was taken out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just didn't catch it until a little late to do that much about it. Activities under exemptions. Letter G.
Every time we hear thunder.
Under exemptions, letter G, activities that qualify as hobbies for investment purposes, or, let's see, so exemptions would be activities that qualify as hobbies or passive holding. There are some people produce things and sell them and say it's a hobby, but how does saying it's a hobby make it not fall under the business license rules?
So it's not simply saying it's a hobby. It's a good question. It's the definition of hobbies under the Internal Revenue Code.
Yes.
Same with the passive holding of property. So that's a defined term in in the Internal Revenue Code, which people don't get taxed for. So the Fed, I think this provision, because this was part of the model code. So my understanding is that that provision is basically saying, hey, if the government's saying we're not going to tax them because the federal government's going to tax you on everything, right? But if they're saying they're not going to tax them, then it's really not a business. And so the same thing with the passive property holding. There's a certain number of properties that one can like hold and rent. So if you had like one rental property, you wouldn't have to come get a business license for that one or two rental properties. Is that the idea behind that?
I'm familiar with the IRC code about hobbies, and it used to be that people took losses every year, so they claimed they were hobby losses. But the IRS, after a few years of that, would say that is not a hobby and it's not a qualified loss, so you can't deduct it. So, not that we're going to get into that, but okay, I'll buy that. City manager. Fees imposed, letter A. An annual business license fee will be set by resolution of the city council from time to time and is imposed on the act of doing business within the city. Can we fine tune that a little bit to say how often we might revisit that, or is from time to time just seems so wishy-washy?
So this is relatively standard verbiage when you're referring to especially fees set by resolution of the council, because you guys can take those up anytime you want. You could take them up today and then again 3 weeks from now if something changes, or wait for 3 years because you think, hey, they look like they're at a fine level. So this just gives the council flexibility to take them up when the council determines they want to take them up. And as you know, our practice has been that we revisit those annually. Oftentimes things stay the same, don't change, but we take a look at them annually with you guys in all cases.
Under fees imposed, letter C, a person doing business in the city for whom payment of a business license fee is delinquent shall pay as a penalty for delinquency the additional sum of $100 for each calendar month or fraction thereof for which payment remains delinquent. What was my question on that? Sorry. Okay, my note doesn't make sense to me, so I apologize for that. Never mind.
For what it's worth, I think that provision was actually, that's not a model code provision. That was retained from your current business license
Was it?
code. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the history behind that had been that there was some major difficulties getting folks to just send in the paperwork, so this was supposed to incentivize that.
Under section 5.24, approval, denial, or revocation. Letter C, notice. Let's see if I can find Okay, it's been corrected in this new one. That's what I found there has been taken care of. One of the things that isn't is the prorating a business license fee. I don't know exactly where it was in here, but the fee is $100 a year. And as I read this, if I go in November and want to set up a business, I'm going to pay $100, and my license only going to be good till December 31st.
So that is actually an administrative, it's lived administratively. There wasn't, the reason you can't find it in the old codes because it wasn't there. So it's basically when you guys set those fees, you're setting the prorated amount at the same time and saying, hey, if it's past June, it's gonna be this much. So you'll see it on the fee sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's probably a little bit.
In another place. Okay.
Yeah, so that one comes in, when you guys, look at those fees. So that would be on the master fee schedule.
And is that referred to somewhere in here, the fee statement?
That's that portion where it says you guys set, fees from time to time.
Okay, okay. Then that answers all of those. I think that the $7,500 fee is kind of high, or the level for which people must have a license is kind of high, $7,500. Personal opinion, for no particular reason, but
You think $7,500 is, if they make less than $7,500, they don't need a license, you think that it should be less than that?
For point of reference, the current number is $2,500.
thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything, any questions? All right.
Council President, I
Yes.
did check with Councilor Bicenius, and he has no comments to add.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Hearing no further questions for staff, then public comment for this item is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor or opposition? Please come to the mic and state your name, the state you reside in, city you're from, and comment whether you're in favor, opposed, or neutral. State your name and city you're from.
I'm Sheila Howe. I'm from Molalla, Oregon.
And whether you're in favor of
I'm kind of
opposition,
neutral about this. I just want to speak to the hobby loss rules. I am an accountant. No business would want to be declared a hobby. If you're declared a hobby, you pay tax on all the income and get no expenses. Okay? No business wants to be declared a hobby. If you're a business, then you get your income and you get all the expenses against it, even to a loss. So the hobby loss rules are not positive. They are negative. No business wants to be a hobby. People call their businesses hobbies, but they are not. And according to the Internal Revenue Code, if a business is not for profit, their intent is not profit, they are a hobby. They pay tax on all the income, they get no expenses. All rentals are considered passive, but they are taxed completely. They get their expenses. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, hearing none. Then I will close this public hearing at 7:15. And Mayor Kaiser, you may return to the dais.
Christie, question for you. Are we going to be voting on that tonight?
Yes, sir, we are.
Can we go to the vote now while I'm down here?
We're still in
And then come
public
back for the other
hearings.
vote?
We have several items in front of the
Okay.
mayor.
We're still in-
Yes.
Up and down.
We gotta get moving here.
You're gonna fall asleep.
Yeah. It's a long meeting tonight. I think we're on surplus.
All right. Up next will be ordinance number 2026-07, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 3.09, disposal of surplus property. This item requires a public hearing. I am opening the public hearing for ordinance number 2026-07, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 3.09, disposal of surplus property at 7:16. The purpose of this hearing is to hear a staff report, listen to public testimony. Does any council member wish to acknowledge actual or potential conflicts of interest? Not me either. Mr. Corthell, we're ready for your staff report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council. I actually think that we need to pull this item off of the agenda. Something happened in translation with this document and it's illegible in the ordinance. So there's really nothing that you guys can vote on because it's pretty illegible.
Okay.
As you get down into the actual ordinance text, there's it overlapped itself and put a bunch of commas and special characters. I presume that probably happened when it got translated into Granicus or to PDF.
Okay.
So I just don't think there's anything for anyone to be able to comment on. Are you guys seeing the same thing?
I'm sorry, I'm not. What page are you on, please?
Keep going down.
57, and then the same thing in the ordinance.
Page,
I see it too.
look at page 57.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is the Granicus system, so
Yeah, something happened in it looks like a computer glitch. That's what it exactly
my
looks
apologies.
like. Oh, no worries. Just so you guys know, as far as why this was coming, and we'll come back to you guys, is that basically the surplus policy was so onerous, and this is the short version, which I'll explain better when we bring it back for meetings, was so onerous that something that would surplus for $35 was costing the taxpayers $100 to get the staff work done to surplus it, which just doesn't make any sense, obviously. So this simplifies it, gets better in line better with best practices. It's really what was adopted into the code is an internal process and policy, which should not be in an ordinance. So that's really what was happening. It was just and then there was also the lack of ability to dispose of things with, there's some newer options out there that make things very simple to dispose of, that are all approved and do all the things they need to do for digital equipment, so that everything gets wiped, destroyed, all the things we need it to be, and we can't utilize that under the current code. So those were really the two reasons for bringing this, and we'll clean it up and bring it back.
Okay.
So how about I'll make a motion to take the hearing and the ordinance off the agenda.
Thank you.
I will make a motion to take item 6C and 7C off the agenda tonight.
Second?
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Christie, we call the roll.
Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
And I will wait up. Counselor Bysenius reports aye. Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Vote to remove 6-0. Thank you.
All right, and on to ordinances. Adopting Molalla, ordinance number 2026-03, adopting Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 18.01, Murals. Having held a public hearing for this ordinance, we are ready to consider a motion for adoption. Does staff have anything else they wish to add?
No.
Okay. May I have a motion to hold the first reading of ordinance number 2026-03, adopting Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 18.01, Murals by title only.
I move to hold the first hearing of ordinance number 2026-03, adopting Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 18.01, Murals by title only.
I second.
Can I get you to re-say that? You said a hearing, and this is first reading, not first hearing.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I move to hold the first reading of ordinance number 2026-03, adopting the Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 18-1, Murals by title only.
I second.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion? Christie, will you call the roll?
Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Waiting for Counselor Bysinius's vote. I think the wildfires and the thunderstorms has our delay a little longer than it normally is this evening. Counselor Bysinius is an aye. Vote passes 6-0.
And since it was a unanimous vote, is there a motion to hold second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2026-03, adopting Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 18.01, Murals by title only?
I move to hold the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2026-03, adopting Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 18.01, Murals by title only.
I second it.
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion by council? All right, Christie, will you call the roll?
Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Counselor Bysinius votes aye. Vote passes 6-0.
All right. Up next will be ordinance number 2026-06, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, General Business Licensing. Having held a public hearing for this ordinance, we are ready to consider a motion for adoption. Does staff have anything else they wish to add?
No, sir, thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to
Pardon
hold
me,
the...
Mayor Kaiser,
Yes.
you cannot lead this section, sir.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you.
You can start it all over. Got on a roll.
You did get on a roll.
Now that Mayor Kaiser has recused himself, this is an ordinance number 2026-06, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, General Business Licensing. Having held the public hearing for this ordinance, we are ready to consider a motion for adoption. Does staff have anything additionally to add?
No, sir, thank you.
Thank you. May we have a motion to hold the first reading of ordinance number 2026-06, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, General Business Licensing by title only.
You gonna say it?
No, go ahead, read it off.
I never do these. Okay. I move to hold the first reading of ordinance number 2026-06, amending the Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, General Business Licensing by title only. Did I do it right?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, Christie, will you call the roll, please?
Is there discussion by council?
Is there discussion by council? Sorry.
Nope.
Nope. Now, Christie, will you take the roll, please?
Certainly. Thank you. Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Counselor Bysinius reports aye. Mayor Kaiser abstains. Final vote 5-0-1.
So we are to consider this unanimous?
So we do a second.
Actually, I don't know that we technically can because we had an abstention, and so I would like to consult both of my parliamentarians in that with an abstention, I don't know if we need to bring this back to a second,
I don't think we
for
did.
a second council reading.
Because he recused himself, so you only had 5 available to vote.
Okay.
Yes, I think it follows the same logic that if there was a recusal on an item and you only had 4 counselors in the chamber at that time, that you couldn't hear the item because you would no longer have a quorum.
Yeah.
And so I think in the same logic
same.
follows.
All right, thank you both. We'll continue with the second reading.
All right, now we have the event of a unanimous vote. Is there a motion to hold the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2026-06, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, General Business Licensing by title only?
I move to hold the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2026-06, amending Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, General Business Licensing by title only.
I second.
Is there any discussion by council?
Nope.
Nope. Hearing none. Christie, will you call the vote, please?
Certainly. Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Counselor Bicinius reports aye. Mayor Kaiser has abstained. Vote passes 5-0-1, with 1 abstaining.
All right. Mayor Kaiser, you may return to the dais,
You're out
please.
of the penalty box now.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
That's kind of fun.
Get my steps in tonight. All right, and 7C, we took it off the agenda, so moving on to resolution number 2026-20, certifying all requirements to receive state shared revenues have been met. Finance Director Sharon, can we have your staff report, please?
Okay. In order to receive state revenue annually, cities must formally elect that they participate in 4 or more municipal services, which we do. So I would move to certify, I'd move to approve resolution number 2026-20, certifying all requirements to receive state shared revenues have been met.
All right, is there any questions or discussion by council? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 2026-20, certifying all requirements to receive state shared revenues have been met by title only?
I move to approve resolution number 2026-20, certifying all requirements to receive state shared revenues have been met by title only.
I second.
Any further discussion? Christie, we call the vote?
Certainly. Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Counselor Bicinius votes aye. Vote passes 6-0.
All right, up next, resolution number 2026-21, declaring the city's election to receive state revenue sharing. Finance Director Sharon will have your staff report, please.
Now that we have declared our eligibility to receive the money, we would like to have the authority to spend it. So, all that together, the fiscal impact is $1,146,500. I move to approve resolution number 2026-21, declaring the city's election to receive the state revenue sharing money.
All right, is there a motion to approve resolution number 2026-21, declaring the city's election to receive state revenue sharing by title only?
I move to approve resolution number 2026-21, declaring the city's election to receive state revenue sharing by title only.
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any questions or discussion? Christie, will you call the vote?
Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Counselor Bicinius votes aye. Vote passes 6-0.
All right, up next, general business wastewater treatment plant update. Mr. Kelly, council is ready for your report, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. Just gonna give you an update on where the wastewater treatment plant project is at, as well as kind of share some fun news on an award that we got. The final effluent pad has begun to be poured, marking another significant milestone on the wastewater treatment plant project. Finishing concrete work continues throughout the various process basins. Due to the extensive amount of concrete surface area, this work will take time to complete as crews perform the detail finishing necessary to ensure long-term durability and performance. Leak testing of the process basins is anticipated to begin within the next few weeks. Once testing is complete, installation of mechanical equipment will begin in earnest. Electrical crews continue installing conduit and wiring between the control panels and the process equipment throughout the facility. Progress is also being made in the blower room, where the new blowers are now being installed. It's kind of a little bit of effort to line it all up, because you're working with steel pipe in there. With the primary structure now complete, the project has transitioned into a mechanical, electrical, and equipment installation phases, allowing multiple areas of the facility to advance simultaneously. The biosolids processing contractor mobilized the site last week and is currently staging the equipment, and you can kind of see that in the bottom picture there. And the city also received its Department of Environmental Quality approval for a new biosolids land application site. The first one of 3 that are anticipated to be approved. This approval will significantly reduce biosolids disposal costs associated with the current project, while also providing long-term operational savings for the future biosolids management. Biosolids removal and processing activities are expected to continue from now through late September. So as we kind of brought to you previously in meetings, with that application site being available to us now, we'll be able to directly put any biosolids removed this year onto that site, and that site is enough to take what they'll process out this year. So we'll be able to realize that savings on the entirety of all the biosolids removal that will happen. So pretty exciting news.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then another little fun one, short school award. The Clackamas Community College hosts a short school for operators every year. We're lucky enough to be near the college that hosts the last existing water environmental technologies program, in which 2 of our operators recently attended. And I will note that they volunteered to help that program, and so they were able to attend for free. So another benefit to the city, pretty good deal, because we've got to pay for their continuing education otherwise, and they were able to get that for free. So CEUs are usually something, like I said, the city pays for. Operational staff needs to keep their licenses. While at short school, and he was brave enough to attend tonight, Cody Seeley submitted a wildlife photo from work as a part of a friendly competition during the school for the operators, and he got 3rd place for the city with the Oregon Water Education Foundation, or also known as ORWEF. So you'll see in your packet the award and then the photo he submitted to get that. Kind of pretty neat.
Yeah, cool. Congratulations,
Yeah,
Cody.
that's great.
I won't put him in too big of a spotlight, but I think you can pick out which one he is.
He might be wearing an orange shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe wearing an orange shirt.
We
You're
never
right.
guess.
Mr. Kelly, I have slides available if you want me to advance through them
Yeah,
for
I'll-
council. I'm happy to do that. Just let me know next
Yep.
slide.
Will do.
All right.
All right, so on this page, you'll still see the overview of the plants. The contractor actually flies the drone, they gives us pictures, so I'm kind of working with their timeline and giving me photos, so. Don't have any new ones from the last time, but the one on the bottom is new. That's Centigro, the subcontractor who's removing the biosolids, getting those centrifuges set up and running. It's pretty neat as a wastewater operator to kind of see this process get put in place, and so that they can start get going on that. Next slide.
So
And
do we,
then,
Seth, do we have the, where they put the solids in to do the, oh, wait a minute, we're just
screw press?
applying them directly to
Yeah.
the land, we're not doing the
We're not-
compressing of
it's
the
a
water
screw
yet?
press.
Okay, okay.
yeah, so, yeah, I'll get to that a little bit later, but we'll have a screw press. Those are
Okay.
called centrifuges. They're similar, but not the same.
Yeah.
So new since the last update, you can see in the grit removal that it's moving forward. They've added some more concrete. They had done some more forming. That part and piece there is significantly important to making sure that the flow is one, equalized, and also that you're able to remove the majority of the solids that will fall out of the wastewater before the basins, so that way you don't have it settling in your basins and have to deal with the maintenance and cleanup of that as often. So that part will move slower because they're gonna make sure everything's exactly right. And then you'll see on the right side, the electrical room is progressing, more cabinets being added. You can actually see the wires being landed. That's moving forward, and as equipment's showing up on site, they're installing it and running the wires in between the pieces of equipment and these cabinets that will control all of it. And on the bottom left, you'll see they got the fume hood and muffle furnace installed. A little orange thing is a muffle furnace, which helps run some testing. When that thing's on, it's running at 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's warm, so hence why it needs a fume hood to make sure the heat evacuates out of the area. On the sequencing battery, next slide, sorry. On the sequencing batch reactors, you can see in the top left, there's some equipment pads for what will actually be the aerobic digesters and being able to move the sludge to dewater it. And then top right, you can see the handrails are going up, getting installed. That's quite the process because they got to drill, then they got to put the threads in and then epoxy it and then make sure it's all lined up and make sure it's level. And so it's quite a process. Bottom left, you can see the effluent pads starting to go in. They've got the first pour done and 2 more should be done tomorrow. And the bottom right is those next pads that should be coming in and getting poured tomorrow. Next slide. On the equalization basin, you can see that the effluent line on that bottom right photo is actually now connected to this new equalization basin. With the old aeration basin, we were able to drain that back if we ever needed to do maintenance on the effluent line. It's 5 miles of pipe, 24-inch pipe. It's a fair amount of water. We need to have somewhere to send it if we need to work on it. And so that's now connected there. We had to move it from where it was previously. They're working on the pipe connections on the other side, still on the transfer pump side, and then coming up in this next quarter, we'll probably see them start, like I was saying, starting to do the leak testing where they'll fill these basins with clean water, test that they'll actually hold water like they're supposed to, and it's not abnormal for them to leak a little bit at first, and then they go on and they do some patchwork and make sure it all is sealed up tight, and then once they've got it where they know that they'll hold, then they can move forward with the next step. Next slide. What's coming next? Continued installation of electrical cabinets in the control buildings. Continue to put the screw press and biosolids handling equipment together, and the blowers. And that screw press is what we're talking about for biosolids dewatering in-house. That's what we'll have. These centrifuges do the same thing, just in a different process. And then we'll complete the pipe connections for the basins, conduct the leak testing and biosolids removal. Like I said, they're setting up, and they Tuesday told me that they expect to start testing that their equipment's ready to go on Friday, so they can fire it up and run Monday. So hoping for that. Handrails install on the catwalks will continue probably for a couple more months because, like I said, there's a lot to that. And then as mechanical components are showing up on site, they're trying to get them installed and put in place, because not only does that move the project forward, but that leaves them more room to work. So, any questions?
I think we're good.
Well, I have one just far out question. So like right now, we're still removing biosolids after, years of accumulation, et cetera. With the new system, is that gonna be an ongoing process?
Yes, so, we'll have the 4 sequencing batch reactor basins and then the 2 aerobic digesters. So you'll essentially with the new treatment facility have 2 phases of treatment, liquids and solids. So as the solids build up in the SBRs, we'll be able to waste them to the aerobic digesters. That will continue to break that down and reduce, and then when it's optimal, we'll take and send it over to that screw press and start dewatering it, which will reduce the amount of hauling we'll have to pay for regardless of whether we're putting it on a land application or to a landfill. So all the way around, it will not only be more efficient, but it will have efficiencies that will realize a savings in operations.
Good.
So we're still going to be doing, hopefully be doing a land application as well as the possible hauling of it, once it's all, decomposed,
Once
when
it's,
the water's out?
once it's completed and we're operating the facility, we'll either have to haul it ourselves or contract someone to haul it.
Oh, so we won't
That-
be able to do land applications with that?
But you you have to haul it to wherever the land application
Right.
is. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So we can still do land application, and that will be our hope, because that will be a cost savings. But
Right.
either way, you've got to get it to the farm.
Oh, Arlington is, I know that's where we have to haul the biosolids. If we do land applications, it has to go down there too?
No, so right now, the site that just got approved is down around Tangent. So it's,
Cool.
it's about a 2-hour there and back, 2.5, versus a 5-hour there and back for Wasco,
Arlington, yeah.
which is where we'd be going otherwise.
And what Mr. Kelly is not telling you right now, or he's forgetting, is that we are continuing to try and work with farmers who could take those biosolids in the
Right.
area, because it
Yeah.
provides a benefit to them as a
Oh, it's a great fertilizer,
fertilizer.
yeah.
And then that would continue to reduce our hauling costs. So he's been working with folks and having those conversations, because obviously it's a delicate topic, and, folks want to make sure that they're not going to put something on their field that's going to cause them problems and that sort of thing. So
Right.
he's continuing
Super.
to work.
Anybody else? Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming in.
Of course.
All right, up next, Astound Broadband Franchise Agreement, Mr. Huff.
If you read the notice, first of all, this is really just informational. These companies merge and sell constantly, so it's Astound Broadband. They're not changing their fees or anything like that. It's just a notice that they merged with someone, but they're not changing their name.
Okay.
So there's nothing for you to do with this. It's really just informational.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, staff communication. We'll start with you, Seth. Anything else you'd like to add tonight?
Well, actually, I do got a couple of small items that I thought of today. Pump 2 is going to be getting fired up at the intake tomorrow morning. That's something that we've been working on. Installing a third 100 horsepower pump down there so that there's full redundancy, so that even if we need to do maintenance on a motor, or one, heaven forbid, failed, we would have a backup that would be able to turn on and run. So this will give us full redundancy there. Really good deal. Really excited to have it. And then the intake design has obviously still been continuing forward in the background, but just wanted to give you guys the feel good that it's still continuing on track, and we're still looking to meet our target goal for the 60% design. So that's what I got.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Clarissa.
No, sir, thank you.
Sandy.
Okay. Finance is just currently, we're working on our year end, getting ready for audit. We did hire somebody for the front office. She'll be starting August 3rd. She's here locally, so she lives nice and close to City Hall, so we're pretty excited.
Excellent. Thank you. Christy.
All right. Thank you. So elections are in full swing. We currently have 2 candidates that have filed paperwork with my office. In fact, they are in attendance tonight. They are Sheila Howe and Monica Bergman. Thank you so much for joining us tonight so you can see what we're working on right now. Both individuals are in background checks this week. There is still a planning commission seat open. Interested parties should contact the city recorder's office at cityofmolalla.com. And then lastly, from my office, we have hired an administrative specialist to work with the city recorders. Training. We're doing lots of training right now. And all things in community engagement for Mr. Corthell and his group is the current focus. So that's all I have tonight.
Perfect, thank you. Ms. Corthell?
Thank you, sir. Well, first, I have to re-shout Cody out here. You know, we have excellent staff, and that just continues to play out time and again. You know, and now they're starting to get recognition from some associations and some other things, not just me. I always knew they were great. Now everyone else is finding out. So excellent work, Cody. I also wanted to take a minute to introduce Brandon, our intern. He's our summer intern. He's been came over to us, from Eastern Oregon University. He actually came out. I should probably give your last name too, huh, Brandon? Brandon Roberson, sorry. So Brandon has been, he came out and worked with us over the Thanksgiving break, and he worked with Adam and the crew, and they had nothing but excellent things to say about him. And so when he called or emailed me and said, hey, is there a possibility of a summer internship, and I'd like to look, you know, more in-office type of work, I was very excited to get him, and he's been a big help. Honestly, he's lifted some things off of us that have been really helpful and made some headway in some areas that we didn't expect to be able to make headway until Brandon came on. So he's been great, and we're really happy to have him. And I'd love to see him come join Team Molalla in a couple years when he graduates. But I think he may have other designs. But you know, who knows? Maybe we'll get him. And then I have your Community Development Quarterly Report. I was remiss to hand these out to you guys before the meeting. My apologies.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'm always so glad to get this. It is good reading.
And then just a couple of quick project updates. Not a lot to it yet, but exciting nonetheless, I think. The Clark Park architectural landscape for the sports fields, that concept design that we've been talking about, that is out to bid as of today. It ran in the newspaper today, and so we should be getting some bids back on that and seeing where we stand on that stuff, so that's exciting. The banner holder project, we did get the design. We had to design a new base plate for it so that it would meet modern engineering standards, especially since we're putting it on the right of way, and obviously there's some significant safety concerns there, wind shear and other things. So we did send that off to our mechanical engineers or structural engineers to make sure that it was going to function, and they said, yeah, we're not comfortable with this base plate. So we went ahead and got a new design, got that stamped. We just got that back. Mr. Dye, our artist, has been in work on fabrication. He's just kind of was waiting for that bottom portion until we got the design back for that. So he's going to be able to dive in on getting that thing finished up. So we'll start to get you guys some better timelines now that we've got that engineering work done. We didn't initially anticipate that, but we'll get some better timelines tied up here pretty quick. And I had a third one. So what was it? Oh, Ona Lane. Ona Lane is going to be going out to bid as well. The design is done on that. That's out to bid, and I think we're reviewing contract documents and that sort of thing, which obviously we wouldn't be bringing to you until we had a bid that we like and that sort of thing. But that's moving forward as well. And for those of you who don't know what Ona Lane is, it's the one that comes out of the Bear Creek subdivision there. That is that second access that they've been waiting for 5 years, I think. So that will we'll get that done. And with that, we're also starting work. We've already got the contracts in place for the paving and some shoring up of the, what I'm calling the Elkis Park Access Road. It's Molalla Forest Road, but that portion of it there. So that'll allow us to move the gate over to the neighborhood side, thus reducing traffic in the neighborhood while still having that fire and emergency access, and sending the park traffic down Tolliver and Molalla Forest Road to kind of help those folks keep any traffic out of their neighborhood and hopefully highlight the park a little bit more as well. So, those are just some quick updates I have for you. I always have gobs more. There's a bunch in there as well. And if you guys have any questions or want to know about anything, you know where to find me.
Quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
Water line break the other day, what happened, how are we doing?
Yeah, great job by the crew, as always, not a surprise. So we responded to a pretty minor lateral leak on Saturday. And when our on-call person went out there, she took a look. Obviously, Adam and Richard, both of our leads in that division, were out of town at the time on vacation. Sam Miller, our engineering manager, went out, very capable in that regard. And he said, no, this isn't leaking hard enough we're not going to call in everybody. We'll fix this on Monday. It's not going to cause any issues. He was right. But when we got out there on Monday and we unearthed that leak, to get it repaired, usually you just fix the lateral. We identified, or actually the same person who had been on call, identified a kind of a spiral fracture or a longitudinal fracture in the pipe. And when that happens, you got to replace the pipe, because that's how those things kind of go. If they're going like that, especially once you unearth them and find it, now you've taken all that compression off that the dirt had. You can't really cover it back up and cross your fingers. It's just bad practice. So we were able to get an emergency procurement with Grady to have them come out and pull that piece of pipe out, get a new one popped in. Water service was hooked back up at 9 under a boil water that night at 9 p.m. So those folks worked all day on that. Under boil water, that boil water came back from the lab, or the test results came back from the lab at noon today, and the boil water notice was lifted, so all is well.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Mr. Huff.
Just a couple of quick things, as you all know, which is why we have a long list of ordinances and things on our agenda tonight. Mr. Corthell and I were in Ashland at the Oregon City County Managers Association conference, and it was actually one of the better ones. But I will tell you that it was good to be back. Hanging around familiar haunts is always good. But I also wanted to let you know that the biggest hit of the entire conference was that I brought poop emojis with the city logo on the bottom of them, and we handed them out at the conference, and I don't think there was a single person who didn't love that thing. Thank you, Seth Kelly, for providing those for us to hand out wherever we go. So people will, in various cities, will have that on their desk and show people the city logo on the backside. So.
All right.
Trying to figure out how to record that in the meeting minutes.
It was kind of funny how it worked. The only other thing is that I'd bring up is both the city recorder and our finance director raised the issue of hiring people. We actually have an epidemic right now, and if you all didn't know that, it's department-wide. Every department has been hit with retirements pretty hard, other things, and I know that there are many things that we will get back to, okay? But if they're not pressing and horribly important, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. Because as you know, when you bring a new employee on, they don't just start up with everything. You have to train them and train them and train them before you let them go on their own, working on their own. So bear with us. We are catching up, but some folks are thin, and there are some people who have scheduled vacations
How dare
Wow.
them?
who will not be allowed to not go.
Good.
So, just thought I'd tell you all that.
Is that all you have to say? Anything else?
I have nothing else.
I have one question. Was it 2 weeks from today I leave for the OMA conference? Is there any extra poop emojis
Oh, yeah.
that I can take with me?
Oh yeah, somebody.
I had to bring it up. Just
Somebody who works for us ordered.
A bunch.
Just let me
Um,
know how many.
How many you want?
And I can
They
arrange
are
it for
great
you.
conversations started.
I know.
I can have them ready when you pick up your per diem check.
Interestingly, no one wants the water drops.
We can't
There's
get
little
rid of
water
them.
droplets, to bring awareness to, and no one wants the water droplets. They love that emoji though.
Yeah, I think was it the second day I teach a class, so I'll be putting that on everybody's at the 55.
If they get a
mayors.
right answer, you can give them a
Yeah,
poop
I can
emoji.
throw it at them. There you go.
Yeah, there you
Winner. Councilor Bartholomew, got anything for us tonight?
Just said, I wanted to say, great job to everybody that did a presentation tonight from the city staff. I especially, very professional, and I especially liked yours, how you threw in that funny about making jam. And so I just wanted to say that.
Councilor Schenkel.
No, I don't really have anything, but I am really, really thrilled that you guys were finally able to pave that avenue that was between Providence and what was behind what
Oh,
used
the
to be
alleyway?
Old Bully.
That was really
Oh, that alleyway. I don't think I've ever seen it this nice. It's been, what, 55 years or something I've lived here? It's always been full of potholes. I was so excited when I drove down it. So, thank you to your staff for doing such a great job.
Councilor Childers.
Okay, first on the city council positions that are open, we do have 2 applicants, but we have 3 positions. So somebody out there needs to get busy and apply to run for city council. Brandon, welcome to Molalla, and welcome to one of the longer meetings that we've had in a while. So I'm sure that kept you awake. Cody, congratulations again. Celebrate Molalla August 22nd coming up. We can take a few more vendors, and we hope that everybody puts it on your calendar, that you'll be there. We have good food, good music, and good community information from lots of nonprofits, and some of our own local artists and artisans are there with their wares, and we're just looking forward to another really fantastic event. So again, that's August 22nd. Mark it down. That's it, sir.
All right. Council President Vermillion.
All right, just to let everyone know, summer school is going to be out next week, so the school buses that you've been seeing running through your neighborhoods will not be there. In their place will be the kids. Also, next Thursday at Clark Park, that would be July 30th at 11 a.m., Dan's favorite event of the whole year, Reptile Man will be here. So again, Thursday, July 30th at 11 a.m., Clark Park. Go visit Dan while he visits the Reptile Man.
Yeah,
That's all good.
And I don't think there's another meeting before National Night Out.
I was going to mention
Go
National
ahead.
Night Out. National Night Out is coming up before you're right, before we do have
Yeah.
another meeting, and that's on the 4th, Tuesday, August 4th, at Clark Park.
Okay.
I may or may not be there. I leave.
Hmm. We'll have a table
With food.
of some sort
Okay.
for something.
Cody, great job. I appreciate you guys, you and the rest of the staff. You guys you always blow our minds, and really, really appreciate your hard work and dedication to the city. I don't think we've met since the big Coleman fire. And I really want to thank city staff for coming together on that night. There was a lot of people who didn't know, but when the fire got started, we got a hold of city staff and we got the water line initiated, or you guys could initiate it knowing that the fire was there from home. And so it was nice to see the teamwork come together and have that resource there for them to help if they needed it. And I think they did light the sprinklers up in the fields.
Yeah, Alex, who I would have recognized, but he just went to Gresham because it's 10 minutes from his house, and they had a position open, and he told us how much he loved it here, but it just made sense for him. He was out there all night. I think Mr. Kelly can probably tell you a little more, but I know that the firemen were telling him, hey, move it over here, and that big gun was actually helping protect the other buildings that weren't on fire.
Good. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so he responded and got out there and got actually a big kudos from the Coleman Ranch folks and the family involved, as well as the firemen, because he helped and he went wherever they told him, even if it was go here, no, go back over here, no, go back over here. And so he did a really good job. And yeah, we have irrigation running already, but he was able to redirect and set it up. And I also want to give a shout out to the Coleman Ranch family, because they actually called when the fire, once they realized the fire was going, and they got our tractor, $110,000 piece of equipment, moved away from the barn and saved us from losing that, because that's where we store it, next to the barn there. So
wow,
it's a great partnership with them, and it's really good, and it's good working with them, and glad we're able to be helpful.
Seth, do you want, for those who don't know, explain the pipe?
So our effluent pipe runs from our wastewater treatment facility and discharges in the Molalla River for our winter discharge season. During the summer, we irrigate on the Coleman Ranch fields as a source of being able to discharge our water that we've cleaned, because the river can't assimilate it because of the temperature. And so it runs through the Coleman Ranch property and then out to the river. But during the summer, we close that off, and then we charge that line and use it as irrigation. And so we're able to move the irrigation guns to where the fields need it. And it, like I said, is a partnership to where they get some water out of the deal, and we get somewhere to put it, and it works very well.
Somebody was thinking ahead when they built that. So thank you very much. Appreciate your guys' staff and making sure that happened. Again, National Night Out's coming up. I don't know if I'll be at it. I know we leave for Ashland right around that date for the Oregon Mayors Association Conference. So I'll be leaving for that. I'll be teaching, actually, I got asked to teach a class, first time ever. So I'm kind of excited. It's called the Mayor's Brand. So we'll be teaching mayors around the state about how I do things, I guess. So someone wanted to hear it.
It was funny.
Yeah. Appreciate staff. I know you guys are overworked, understaffed, trying to hire, all the departments. I mean, police constantly hiring. Appreciate you guys and all your effort and the hours of sleep you guys are missing out on. You guys have done a great job, and really appreciate all the effort. So without further ado, and if there isn't anything else for the good of the order, I will. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to report very quickly that Councilor Bicenius has nothing to add.
Forgot he was here. He's been so quiet tonight. Thank you, Councilor Bicenius, for joining us tonight. I'll adjourn this meeting at 8:05.